Hi everyone. My name is Arushi Gupta. I'm a qualified life actuary with over 10 years of experience in the life industry. It includes corporate consulting and serving as an educator, including setting exams, marking them, and teaching actuarial subjects to lots of students in the past. Today's session is to talk about SA2, the life insurance advanced subject. This subject is slightly different to the CP1 or the SP2 type counterparts that you might have done in the past. So it's a qualifying paper, right? So it goes a lot deeper in terms of the technical understanding. The exam paper is more applied. So you have a limited number of questions, which are almost like scenarios, as if you were an actually leading a team. So how would you deal with them? What are the technical concepts that you will apply, etc. I will be conducting a series of classes to help you prepare for SA2 in your journey to be able to ultimately clear the exam. Next, you will see a recording of my class, a first one which covers an overview of the subject, how we should approach the exam, along with some technical discussion on some of the products and some question practice from past year papers of the IFoA to see what gets tested in the exam and how we should approach it. So I hope you enjoy it and find it useful. This is a very quick overview of the index of basically the syllabus. I hope you can see, or I can let me know. I can zoom in if you want. Okay. So primarily, we will be discussing in the initial classes the products, which are chapter 1, 2, 3, and today particularly chapter 1. That's why this red box highlights it. Okay, this thing. And relating is the chapter on the risks and the questions on the risks that come in the exam, because these topics are often they are tested together. Now, this chapter, if we talk about, yes, it contains lots of products, it discusses the features and everything. But I want to start a little bit with a helicopter view of how we should prepare, how we should connect the dots, and how to take things ahead for a good SA2 preparation. So in every class, the idea is that if you read and come, you will be able to catch things and grasp in a manner which will help you connect the dots and increase your chances to clear the exam. So now, yes, the core or the base of the subject is the products, and there is a long list. Some of these you have seen in the past in subjects like SP2. So some are familiar to you, some are new, but these really form the base. If you're not clear about the features, not just in terms of that a particular product pays this and this, but in terms of why those features exist, because they are either meeting the needs or the point of view of some or one or more of the stakeholders in the business, right? If I talk about the products, so which are the products that are there in chapter 1? Can you tell me? Let's start listing them down in the first place.
Term assurance,
Okay.
Whole of life,
Okay.
income
Income
protection.
Okay.
critical
Okay.
illness,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Personal pension product, mm,
Okay.
and I guess
endowment,
group pension.
Endowment. Okay. What else is there in chapter 1? So, are we sure we have covered everything? If you have read and come and you're saying you could only do chapter 1, so I expect at least products के नाम तो याद होंगे आपको.
universal life, universal,
Universal life is there.
Yes, that's right. What else is there?
And there is one investment product, investment bond.
Yes. So these are all important products. Some are familiar, some are new. We'll see if we have still missed anything, but now it pretty much seems like a decent list to me. So now important is you might have seen how the book is different from earlier subjects, which is CA1 or which is in SP2, is that every product you need to not just know the features like, a newbie ki, matlab isme ye hota, ye hota. That's not the point of SA2. It's a very applied paper and it's a qualifying exam. So you need to understand that, okay, in the products, why the features are there, and what are the risks involved, and what is that the benefit or the reward you get from the product, right? If you have to buy and sell anything in the market, I need to meet the needs, or say there needs to be some equilibrium between two main stakeholders. What are they currently for any product? Which two parties are involved? Do we know that? For any product, yes or no?
The policyholder and the company, insurer.
Yes. It's the policyholder and the insurer. So if there is, say, a term life in the market, there will be some need that this party creates, right? So there is a demand that this party creates. And of course, the insurer will then design a product because he can see a demand, and therefore this party is going to supply. So these are the two very basic but very fundamental but important stakeholders in the business, is what we say. Okay. And therefore, if you have read the chapter, you will have seen that for every product, in every product, they discuss, say, the risks or the point of view or the risks that, okay, for each product, what is the risk to the insurer? What is the risk taken on by the policyholder? So now why is the structure like that, and what are we trying to tell? If we get to see in between the lines what the co-reading is saying, that's the story they are telling. Now this story understanding is much more important than, like a like a junior subject. If you try to learn the features, this is more important, and of course you need to know the features also. So the two stakeholders are very important. Now, if I tell you that, okay, for any product, the list that you see, that what are the factors that each of these are going to consider? Because one is going to create the demand. अगर demand नहीं होगी तो भी product नहीं बिकने वाला, supply नहीं होगी तो भी नहीं बिक सकता, right? So factors or the point of view, the factors that shape their point of view, their needs, etc. Therefore, it needs to be looked at from the point of view of these two. And often these factors, etc., are driven by what? They're driven by the risks and the benefit that they get from doing this business, either as a buyer or as a seller. So that is one of the main things. Now, if I talk about the insurer, what do we think? For any product, what are the factors that insurer is going to think of, that whether they should launch a product, design it, sell it, etc.? So what are the factors that they will think of in basically thinking of designing and selling a product?
Profitability.
Yes, it's very
Marketability.
important. Correct. It is important. It is important that there is profitability looked at, because see, this is a business. Everybody wants to earn, right? So if insurer is it's a business, right? They're running. So they will want, they're not here for charity. They will want that they want to earn something. They want that, yes, the product that they're designing, it should be marketable, that it should get enough sales volume, that so that it is they're able to sell it in the market, right? What are some of the other factors? There will be a long list of factors. Now these type of factors you have seen in the past subjects, but they come up very, for a brief intro, they come up very upfront in the list when we start the class or the classes for this diet, because they are the very first in the chain of the products. So this is an overview which says it's a life insurance company at the top. There will be some shareholders, there will be the management, there will be actuary. Now under the actuarial team, what they're doing is that for the life and health products that they sell, the first stage is going to be the product design, pricing, reserving, and all of that, right? So therefore we are focusing on this, that why the products even come in the market. And then we can go to specific products for their specific features. So therefore we start with this view, so that we can think of things and imagine them in a mind map form. We can see top to bottom story, a helicopter view rather. Okay. So they should be marketable. And there is a very important couple of other things also. One or two I would want that we should think of them right now. But otherwise, there is a long list. And this topic was always called the product design factors, which you have done in CA2, CA1 or in SP2 type subjects, right? If you remember those, you will know what I'm saying. So there is a whole chapter on it separately. But the idea is that why the products chapters talk about the two stakeholders is because insurer will have to think about their risks in the product and what mitigations they can use. And there is one more very important one that we are missing. What else will a company think of before starting a product or getting into
Competition.
the business? Fine, there will be competition.
Should
But
meet the
even
needs of the target market.
okay, so kind of related to that, that something will be marketable only if it meets the needs of the customers. We are missing something so fundamental, that if I want to do any business, there is one thing I
Capital.
need in my
Regulation.
pocket. Yes, I need money. Nobody can start a business. आप competition भी देखोगे, लेकिन आपको पहले ये thought तो आए कि मेरे पास पैसा है तो मैं उसका कुछ business करूं. And then you will see, okay, what design to offer, what are the competition levels, how much profit I will earn. First, you need is the capital. So there are these few very important things we need to keep in mind. And this is again one of the very, very important things, that they have the capital, they're looking at the competition, they're looking at what the customers need, they know they need to earn profits. But along with profitability, what is important is that what are the risks? Why? Because profitability alone is an incomplete factor that we said there. When we said profitability, there is something and along with it that we are missing. The hint is that it is related to the risks involved. What can that be? I don't want you to cram things and always think from a, very technical hat. You need that technical hat, but you also need to be an actuarial layman. I'm not saying a layman, but an actuarial layman. That is somebody who is going to drive the business once you qualify. So you just don't need the technical aspects. You need some business acumen, right? This is a qualifying paper. So that is why I'm trying to make you think from the start in this manner. So this answer you can get from, if you think about technically also, if you think from business point of view also. So if a company is trying to launch a product, they are thinking of it. You said they will want to first see ki profit है नहीं है, सही बात है. Nobody is here for charity or for losses, but profitability के साथ उसका क्या होना चाहिए? And actually will always see how well the profits are going to sustain, or what is the sensitivity of that profit. Are you understanding anything out of this? Are you able to see the underlying what this would mean? Are you able to guess that? Yes or no? क्या मतलब है इसका? None of you are able to guess that कि क्या चीज कहना चाह रहे हैं हम यहाँ पर?
So it means that what if we change the assumptions, the impact, what will be the impact on profit?
Okay, so that's a technically worded answer, but that is right. Now, why would you want to see कि assumptions change करेंगे तो profits पे क्या impact होगा? Why you want to see that? इसका क्या interpretation है इस बात का?
Because real life scenarios can be different to what we expect, so we need to understand
Yes.
what will be the profits.
Correct. Everything is here in the future. The difference between our industry, that is the insurance industry, and any other business in the market is that more than anybody else, what we are dealing with is a future कि प्रीमियम भी फ्यूचर में आना है और क्लेम से फ्यूचर में देने. ऐसा नहीं है कि आज मैंने एक चीज बेची, if I sell a piece of cloth, मुझे पता है मैंने प्रोडक्ट डिलीवर कर दिया, मेरे पास रेवेन्यू आ गया और वो ठीक से हो गया. No, what I need to deliver as a service or the claim payment is going to come in the future. If it's a regular premium product, future में आने वाला है. So what we are every time doing is we are trying to estimate or predict the future, and that is why we set assumptions. So important is कि अब मैंने कोई base set of assumptions लिए, fine, because that was my view for the future. I estimated is using my best possible techniques. So I have a base set of assumptions for the future. Using those assumptions, I say that, okay, I did some modeling. I thought of a design ki, okay, term product है, suppose X amount of sum assured रखते हैं, Y चीजें रखते हैं, etc. Based on those assumptions, I said कि हाँ, I can see कि my product is profitable. Maybe my target was, and say an NPV target था. Profit criteria अलग-अलग तरह से define हो सकता है. I'm assuming you remember some of that. So if I said that, okay, X million was my targeted NPV, तो I did a modeling कि अगर मैं ऐसी पॉलिसी बेचूं और ऐसा ऐसा प्रोडक्ट फीचर हो तो हाँ ये मीट हो रहा है. But all of that is based on this underlying set of assumptions that I set, right? Which I estimated. उसके बेसिस मैंने कहा हाँ ये प्रोडक्ट तो प्रॉफिटेबल है. But important is what could go wrong, right? Everything that can go wrong is basically the risk that we think we will face. उसी को हम risk कहते हैं. Risk is that, okay, I put up a mortality assumption that could go wrong. So risk is that maybe if it's a term product, my risk is that deaths could be higher, more than what I expected, actual greater than expected. Yes or no? Yes? No?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so with a digital pen, the writing is a problem. So I'll try to improve it. But if at any point, the fundamental that probably I should have said in the start of the class is that for me, it is very important that you take away with you what I teach you. If at any point the writing is not clear, if my terminology you feel is not clear, or if you feel that you have certain doubts left, or the pace is fast or slow, you need to tell me. Important is that I'm spending as a qualified actuary 2.5 hours with you. So it should be worth it, right? It should serve the purpose that we are here for. So that is very important to me. So what I was saying was, therefore, we say mortality is a risk in a term product. If you think like this, there is nothing that you need to rectify or learn anything. So in a term product, why is mortality a risk? Is because everything is in the future. I estimated one of the assumptions, which is a QX rate. Now that was a material assumption. So then comes this very important thing of significance or materiality, because we know, and we will see how and why the things and the results depend on this. So if this estimate goes wrong, my product could suddenly be not profitable. If I model a higher QX, the results might change. And modeling a higher QX, as you know, was said in the class, that assumptions change career. So what it means is that we're trying to model different scenarios that in the future, if things don't go as per what my base assumption said, then the product results could change. It will be profitable, it might not be. So therefore, the factor that we say upfront is that it is profitability and sensitivity of profits. That I need to see that, okay, what premium I'm selling at, what NPV I had targeted, and I said that that target will be achieved if I sell so and so design in the market. That's what I concluded by my modeling, by my pricing activities. But then I need to see that if I check them on different scenarios by stressing different assumptions, which the key ones, which do matter to the kind of product I'm selling, then what is the delta? What is the change in profits? Is it increasing? Is it falling? What is happening? Is this making sense? What we are trying to do here? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
We are trying to create a mind map that the different parts of the course are not in silos. Even in real life, in business, they don't operate in silos. If I'm talking about products, why I need to think of the two stakeholders and the risks they face and the benefits they get out of it. Why are these two blocks related? Even though some of it is going to come in different chapters, like risk mitigation, and some risks come in chapter 21, the products and the stakeholders, these come in chapters 1, 2 type chapters, right? Similarly, how things are also then again related to the design stage. That even at the design stage, you're going to think of n number of factors. And one of the very important factors is again the risks and the reward. Now, you said that, okay, the product is profitable. But when you think of risks, what I did on sensitivity point of view is I just quantified that risk. I said that in a term product, if I'm trying to think as a businessman, that as a insurance company, that okay, in the market there is demand for term product. I have capital. Let me try to design and enter this market and sell. So I'm like, okay, first requirement it needs to be profitable. But then correspondingly, I'm like, the story doesn't end here. I need to see that it is profitable, but what are the things that could go wrong? What are my risks? And are they, uh, you know, in limit of my risk appetite, or they're going to cross that appetite? Now, how do I quantify the risk is what I basically told you. That is, you carry out the exercise called sensitivity of your key metric, which is the profits here in this case that we are looking at. Sensitivity of that profits to the risk involved. Now, to the risk, the example I gave is that mortality risk. And how do you quantify it is that, yes, you do another stress run where you change the QX to basically make it worse for a term product, and you see what is the change in profit. So you are basically coming up with three things in your mind. This you should visualize as you read the core reading. All of this picture should come into your mind that, okay, I am an insurer, so I am one of the stakeholders in the market. The other is a policyholder. As an insurer, I want to look at profitability, but I also want to look at the sensitivity of that profits to the key risks involved. Therefore, I need to see how much is the risk, what is my risk appetite, and then are there any risk mitigation measures that I can take to manage that risk? Is this mind map or picture making sense now? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Now, in my class, there is one more rule, again, very important to clarify it initially, that the class cannot be a monologue. I'm very, very particular about it. The point is that you came and read and came, right? And this cannot be a monologue. I know all of it. If I know I will do it 10 more times, I am only getting benefit out of it. Important is that you speak up in the class and you start thinking from the very start as if this is your core exam time or core preparation time. It's not a time कि कोई बोल रहा है हम सुन रहे हैं लेट बैक हो के थोड़ा बहुत समझ लिया ना, ये वो स्टेज है ना, हम उस लेवल के स्टूडेंट्स है. we're all working professionals, day in day out in office we are applying our minds on all of this. So important is that core reading, though it seems very theoretical and wordy, what it is actually saying is a lot of things in between those lines. We just need to visualize that, okay, it said actually brought 10 business things together, which we actually do in the office every day. Yes, some of us might be doing stress and scenario testing, maybe on the valuation side, maybe on the pricing side. Yes, a lot of us are in the risk team. So, etc., etc. A lot of us are in the products team. So, it is trying to bring all of that together, and that is the reason the products, apart from the features, they also discuss every product that okay, what are the risks and the benefits that the insurer gets. So they are trying to cover this part in that discussion. Now the other party involved is the policy holder. Even if I want to sell something, it's pointless if there is no buyer, right? So policy holder, therefore, they also discuss many times the policyholder's point of view, or which basically means the factors that matter to them. So there can be different ways you can be tested. So that's why I'm putting the slashes that in the exam, it's not like it's going to come as the same word is going to be tested, which you are familiar with. Design factor, risks, requirements. So you will have to identify that, okay, this is what the question is asking and the examiner is expecting. So therefore, we need to have an open mind that what is their point of view or the factors that impact them, or what are the basically the risks that they will face in buying a product and the benefit they will get out of it, right? So for a policy holder, what are the kinds of risks they face when they take up a product?
Default by insurer.
Correct. That's a very important but very basic risk. Irrespective of product क्वेश्चन में कौन सा प्रोडक्ट पूछ रहे हैं, ये हमेशा रिस्क रहेगा कि डिफॉल्ट बाय द इंश्योरर on the payments, which is the claim that you might get or the kind of service you could get. Default can happen on two things. It's not just the payment ki timely claim settle hua nahi hua. It can also be on the service or the quality of service. Ki you call them up, आपको कुछ questions पूछने थे policy duration में जब policy चल रही थी, so the customer care didn't pick up, or you got the claim but not in a timely manner. Are you understanding? There are two things, two aspects to the default part. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Why I'm spending time on the small things is that 90% people are going to write this in the exam, will get half a mark. Only 10% will remember that this is not enough deep an answer. This part is missing. They will earn half a mark more. So every line that I will say in the class, later on you will realize that it was straight away a part of the answer of the examiner solution. You will be at the stage, हम आज practice करेंगे, questions आज हम सीखेंगे, but I'm trying to tell you the theoretical part in a way that fits your exam answers or widens your thinking that how your answer is going to go deeper and deeper. Okay. Now, a little bit about the exam question and the writing style and how to approach a question. Now, the difference is that SA2 is a lot more deeper subject in the sense that it is more applied. Now, if you say simple question that what are the risks involved in a product? If this question came in an SP2 exam, yes, what you would do, what would be same to an SA2 would be, you will have a list of ideas or factors, right? कि कौन से risks हो सकते हैं. So based on the product, you suppose make a list vertically, which is your column A, right? You think of n ideas. So based on the product, suppose it is a term product, you say, okay, there is going to be mortality risk, there is going to be expense risk, etc., etc. And against each, you will have to then expand it, right? So vertically, the column is your ideas, and the headings in your answer, depending on marks. Usually it's longer answers, right? Long questions. And horizontally is you're expanding in bullet points. So you have to write in bullet points and you expand what you really mean by this idea and how it applies to the scenario defined in the question of an SA2 paper. So this was there in SP2 also, but this depth and the application part, you need to hit it very, very correctly in an SA2. This is the difference. Why I'm telling you this is because many times it is the case that we wrote, but we didn't get enough marks. This is not the paper where you say कि हाँ mortality है ऊपर ऊपर से आपने लिख दिया. You really need to apply कि हाँ जो question में प्रोडक्ट लिया या उसका जो चैनल दिखाया था जो डिस्क्रिप्शन थी आपने एग्जैक्टली एक्सप्लेन करके आप एज एन एक्चुअली एक डिसीजन ले पा रहे हो कि हाँ ये मटेरियल होगा नहीं होगा ये कैसे अप्लाई होगा सो वो डेप्थ ऑन विच इज बेसिकली कमिंग फ्रॉम योर टेक्निकल कॉन्सेप्ट की क्लैरिटी एज एन एक्चुअली ओके वो डेप्थ आंसर की वहां से आती है A simpler example was this, the depth of the answer, where I told you कि डिफॉल्ट में सिर्फ पेमेंट्स मत लिखना क्वालिटी एंड टाइमिंग ऑफ सर्विस भी लिखना सो दीज आर दोज थिंग्स second thing about the paper is that this has very limited questions so usually around 3 questions I'm not saying always thoda plus minus hota hai from right to right but around 3 questions typically come so 30 marks के around कुछ 35 कुछ ऐसे वो questions होंगे so there is a lot of therefore concentration risk if I may say so or there is a lot of depth that every question will need अब अगर 3 ही क्वेश्चन आने हैं क्वेश्चन 1 मान लो आपका इन्वेस्टमेंट बॉन्ड पे आ गया जिसका नाम भी नहीं याद आ रहा है हमें आज क्लास में हम पढ़ के आए हैं सो इट्स अ वेरी वेरी बिग रिस्क आपने 10 और चैप्टर्स पढ़े हुए हैं लेकिन आने सिर्फ 3 ही क्वेश्चन हैं जिनमें एक बड़ा सा सिनेरियो देंगे डिस्क्राइब करेंगे आई अग्री देयर विल बी सब पार्ट्स टू दोज क्वेश्चंस तो ऐसा नहीं है कि 30 नंबर का एक आंसर है उसमें डिवाइड होगा कोई 12 नंबर का होगा कोई 20 नंबर का होगा पार्ट लेकिन अगर प्रोडक्ट एक दो ही उसमें कंपनी बेच रही है इफ दे से देयर इज अ कंपनी एक्स इंश्योरेंस विच सेल्स एबीसी एंड डीईएफ प्रोडक्ट्स और उस पे उन्होंने आपको टेस्ट लेकिन बहुत चीजों पे किया डिजाइन पे किया रिस्क पे किया इन्वेस्टमेंट स्ट्रैटेजी पे किया कोई पावर प्रोडक्ट दे दिया उसका कुछ किया बट अगर प्रोडक्ट हमें क्लियर नहीं है तो देर इज अ वेरी बिग कॉन्सेंट्रेशन रिस्क कि आप फिर इसमें मार्क्स कम ही स्कोर करोगे सेम इज विद द एप्लीकेशन ऑफ डिफरेंट थिंग्स दैट यू डू विद द प्रोडक्ट मान लो आपको इन्वेस्टमेंट बॉन्ड क्लियर भी था लेकिन उसके ऊपर अगर आपको इन्वेस्टमेंट स्ट्रैटेजी टेस्ट कि आपको वो नहीं आता दैट कुड बी अ प्रॉब्लम देन राइट सो you need to know both the products and the different types of management of them or the insurance reinsurance on them or their valuation so different areas very very interesting subject this is so if you do it wholeheartedly you will enjoy it also is what I'm trying to say okay now coming to this thing the products you have studied and come right so I have made some useful slides so let's go look at that together. Firstly, is there any question so far? Yes or no? Any feedback, anything? If it's a
No.
no, then you say no. Okay, yeah. So you need to be very, very participative. If you will force me to take names and ask you, I'm going to do that. I've done that. I always do that. So I'm giving you a chance कि आप खुद से participate करो, ठीक है? So these are the products which are there in chapter 1 basically. You said whole of life, fine. You said term life. We'll come to that. It's not just a term life. There is these 4 things associated with it. We'll discuss that. There is endowment, there is universal life, there is investment bonds. There are health insurance products like income protection, critical illness. Fine. So important is that yes, we need to look at a product. Now, product is going to be sold and then what another thing that comes up is that what are the variants of that certain products are not just sold individually person to person but they might also be sold in a group form you should know the entire story behind them right this is one of the exam techniques also that for every product we should know the story behind their premiums what kind of premiums are there are they low? Are they high? If so, why is that the case? What kind of benefits it offers? What are the typical features of that product? And what are the different variants it could be sold in? And there's another U, which is the uses of that product. Now, दिस इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट बिकॉज SA2 में वो सिंपल एक टर्म प्रोडक्ट पूछ लें इसकी तो बहुत मतलब इट्स वो भी अकेले एक क्वेश्चन में either the insurer will be selling multiple products or if it is a term then it will be a twisted term rather than a standard term. Okay, so therefore it is important कि हम हर टाइप का फीचर और वेरिएंट हमें पता है. Now in a term product what are the different types you studied and came today?
Renewable, convertible.
Correct.
Decreasing term assurance.
Yes, renewable है, convertible है. So expect that in previous subjects where you focus less on these twisted versions but more on the standard term, ये चल गया. Now SA2 you have to focus on all the different features because this is more likely to come and it has come, right? So yes, DTA decreasing term life, and if it's a group variance, we said GTL group term life. So you should be clear about कि इनमें क्या different है and not just features में कि हाँ इसमें एक option होता है that you can convert to endowment or whole of life at the end of the original term of the product policy term, but इसका actuarially दोनों stakeholders के लिए क्या risk and reward है, again that point of view वो आपको clear होना चाहिए. Like for example, if I say that suppose renewable का case लेते हैं, so there is an original term policy, there is a term policy, right, which has this option that it can be renewed. So its policy term, the original term was 10 years. Now what does this option mean? क्या मतलब है इस option का? If it's a renewable term assurance, what should I draw here, or rather how should I explain this product?
The policyholder has the option to convert it to a whole of life.
No, I'm talking about renewable version, not convertible
Right.
version right now.
So extend the term of the policy without any further
Yes.
medical underwriting.
Yes, that part is very important, that whatever many years, suppose I say plus 10 more only years, so the total term therefore becomes 20 years. So the policy holder has the choice or the option that if they want, they can exercise that option here at this point. They can extend the term for another 10 years. And at this point, however, they will be obviously charged whatever premium, but they will not be medically underwritten. This is a very important point. Now, this in one line we defined, okay, what is this? Now, without number one, who didn't think of this, they are already half prepared. Now, at least the answer I got is better because this line was covered. Now, beyond this line, what we need to understand is what is its actuarial in terms of impacts, risks, profits, what is the significance of this, both to the policyholder and to the insurer. So that's the kind of level of discussion you need to know while you prepare the products for an SA2 exam. इससे कम में तो आप अभी तक करते आए हो, but this is not that paper is what I'm saying. So when I expect you to read the core reading, therefore what I'm highlighting here is that what are the important parts that you should know. Now, how will it be, why will it be interesting to this policy holder कि starting से उसने एक standard term assurance ना लेके, the normal term जिसे हम कहते हैं ना लेके उसने renewable, why would he have taken that is that because this point if they feel like they want to extend the cover, so their age यहाँ पे if their age was 40 years, right, if I take this example here it would have gone to 50 in the future. So in the future when they land up at this point, if they go into the market to buy a cover from anyone else, they will be medically underwritten. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So like that, you have to say yes and no. So good. There is slight improvement in your responses. So, okay, so this is 10. So the age is 50. Now, why age 50? If from a, say, insurer A and B, suppose, current one is the A from whom we have taken this policy. So if B is going to give them the policy, now they are going to medically underwrite them. And there could be a chance that by 50, age is increasing, has increased. So they might not be in the standard health category, their health might be poor, etc. So they might end up being charged a higher premium, right, which is a non-standard premium. So but if they had taken the renewable term life from the start, from this point, from insurer A, here they would get the extended cover for another 10 years at the standard premium rates, because they will not be asked कि हाँ आपकी हेल्थ और खराब हो चुकी है, do standard rates apply to you or no, you should be paying a non-standard higher premium, right? So that is the kind of benefit this person might feel. That's why there is a use. कुछ यूज लगेगा प्रोडक्ट में तभी उसकी डिमांड होगी, एंड देयरफॉर द स्टेक होल्डर वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट हियर इज द पॉलिसी होल्डर. सो दैट्स हाउ वी नीड टू बी एबल टू अप्लाई कि रिस्क क्या था, बेनिफिट क्या था इसको. Similarly, the insurer for every feature or any version of the product that exists. Now, very basic things also you need to. Yeah.
Can I say something? Sorry. So in that
Who's
example,
that?
isn't the
Sorry.
premium rate will also be? This is Neeraj.
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes,
So
I
I
can.
was just asking, like in this example, the insurer will anyway jack up the price using a take-up
Yes,
rate that certain number of people will anyway
correct.
will take.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So now
those
we're
kind of
coming to
things
the.
will be.
Yeah. Sorry, sir. Say again.
No. So what I was saying is, in this case, there will be implication on the policyholder anyway, because the premium will not be maybe competitive or cheaper, because in this case, the premium will be slightly jacked up. So there is a risk and reward here also.
Correct.
He may need to visualize that what will be the incremental premium after 50 years versus what he's taking. So
Absolutely right. So this kind of thinking that you brought here is what we need, to be honest, for SA2. So I've been saying, think about R&R. So we thought about the reward or the benefit that, he will not be medically underwritten, but he's also going to take the risk that this term product, if a normal term suppose was 50 to 500 rupees premium, suppose, then renewable term which assurance which has this option is not going to be 500. This is very intuitive, right? It should be at least 510 or higher, right? P dash should be higher than P, because insurer is, so this, the risk for them is therefore that, it probably will might not be beneficial also to some, that they paid, as you said, the premium they need to compare, that was it worth paying this higher premium. So it can go anyways, in any direction. So that's the risk part of that to the policyholder. Similarly, insurer being the other stakeholder, who's the seller of this product, is also not here for charity. So they are also going to price it profitably. So they are also going to set, assumptions that, okay, I'm standing here right now as a company, but 10 years later, what will the market scenario be like? What will be the interest rates? What will be the future QXs from age 50 onwards, 10 years later? And they will also think that, okay, what should the premium rates be? What kind of health the policyholders might be in? Therefore, they come up with a very important assumption, which is the option take up rate. That is, they will also price it assuming that, okay, X people, suppose, are going to take up the option. Why? Because their health might be not in the best state, so they are going to exercise that. So they are also going to do the present values here, etc., while pricing it, so that they know that they have to not offer it at 500, but they will have to come up with 510. Does that make sense?
Hmm.
Yes, no?
Yes.
Okay, yes. So therefore, both stakeholders are going to face both R&R, the risks, and also the rewards, or say the benefits slash uses they get from a product. So the story of every product should be on top of our minds, which includes their uses, their features, why those features are, what are the risks, etc. So now term life, we say that, usually they could be either single premium or regular premium products. And typically these are low premium products. Very, very basic information, but do we remember that yes, they are cheap products in the market compared to, say, the endowment versions or the whole of life versions. So if they are cheap, why are they cheap? I'm
They
kind of
don't
doing a revision with you. Yeah.
they don't have a guaranteed payout like endowment or whole of life.
Mhm. So what do we mean by guaranteed payout? You're
So
right, but we need to use the right terminology in the exam also.
okay.
Mhm.
Uh
You
so
just need to explain what you said. So
okay.
you're right.
Uh
Yeah.
okay. So the payout would be dependent on the happening of a death. the probability of death is actually a lot lower than in case of endowment, where we also have a longevity risk, or in whole of life, where it's a guaranteed payout.
Okay. So yes, you're right. How we can refine that probably is a very, very simple language. What I'm trying to say is you're right. That if I compare it, suppose, to an endowment, now in an endowment product, every policy is going to lead to a claim, which basically we're saying as a guaranteed payout. So important is that either the policyholder going to take away a maturity benefit or a death benefit, right? Yes or no? If
Yes.
death happens earlier, they're going to take this away. But in a term product, not every policy sold is going to turn into a claim, but every policy is going to provide a premium to the company, right? So company is going to earn from every policy the premium, but not every policy is going to claim, because for claiming the person has to die within that term. Yes or no? So therefore, if the company is going to price it, they will model two benefits here: maturity, likelihood of maturity benefit, likelihood of death benefit, etc. And every policy, they will know that they have to pay something. It's not like they're going to take away the premium and not pay. So obviously, if what you're getting out of the product is less likely, so the product you will get is cheaper, because they're only going to model the mortality risk here, as you said. Whereas in the endowment product, you will also need to model the maturity benefit. However, when you describe the product, if it at all it comes, always make sure you use the right English and the words to explain. Okay. This I think you must be knowing from your SP2 type subjects also, but still, because examiner is going to only give you marks on what you actually write and what words you use. So many times when we see the exam papers, we are able to see that we are able to gauge that no, this person knows, but the words he has written is leading to meaning getting lost. Like many people, what they say in an endowment product is that it offers a death benefit as well as a maturity benefit. Is that correct? Yes or no?
No, it's either or.
Yes, it's either or. So we need to be very clear. So as a company, you are going to model both benefits because they are all probabilistic, right? So you're going to take both scenarios, but the person is not going to get both benefits. So we have to be very clear that we know that it's not like सबको पता है, मतलब ऐसा नहीं है कि इस क्लास में एक भी बंदा है जिसको ये चीज नहीं पता है, but we need to be very clear of the words we use when we write it. Okay, that these products are low reserve products, they are cheaper products. Then investment risk is not material in this kind of product. Why? Because investment return assumption is not important, reserves are small. The line that I just said, is this familiar to all of you?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so that is the story of this product. एक तरीका है इसको याद करने का कि हाँ, इसमें सम अश्योर्ड डेथ पे हो जाता है अगर डेथ टर्म में होती है, पर आप क्वालिफाई करोगे इस पेपर के बाद। तो अगर एक एक्चुअरियल स्टोरी है तो आपको पीछे से पता होगा कि हाँ, रिजर्व्स छोटे होते हैं, प्रोडक्ट चीपर होता है, प्रीमियम छोटा होता है, इन्वेस्टमेंट रिस्क इसमें इमटेरियल है। तो ये सारी नॉलेज है जो हम कह रहे हैं कि अगर हम एक दो क्लासेस स्पेंड कर रहे हैं प्रोडक्ट्स पे, और आप भी गोइंग बैक होम, यू आर गोइंग टू स्पेंड टाइम learning or revising the products, so this is the level of knowledge you need to revise, not just कि इसमें ये होता है, इसमें ये बेनिफिट है, इसकी फिक्स टर्म होती है, तो आपको पता ही है, मतलब राइट। अनदर इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग इज इसमें सरेंडर वैल्यू पेड अप वैल्यू नहीं होती, क्यों है, कैसे है, इसके वर्जन्स, द डिक्रीडिंग टर्म अश्योरेंस पूछा जा सकता है, नॉर्मल टर्म की जगह ये पूछा जा सकता है, ग्रुप टर्म पूछा जा सकता है, राइट। Similarly, many a times the questions also, like, because it's a closed book exam, तो थोड़ा theory भी पूछने का there is a likelihood, though more so the paper will be applied only because SA2 का nature शुरू से ही applied है, be it open book or closed book, because this is not a like straightforward theory subject. But important is that even when we think about the uses of a product, so if I say what is the use of term life to the policyholder, what is it that you can think of without reading the slide, of course?
Protection, so to pay out dependents in case
Mhm.
of death, early death.
Yes, so that is one example, but important is कि हम पूछें uses क्या है, तो we are only able to think हाँ, मतलब protection है, लमसम मिल जाएगा डेथ पे, तो ये तो हमें पता ही है, बट how to then expand and make your answer deeper to earn more marks is think of situations where this lump sum could be used. क्योंकि अगर आप पॉलिसी होल्डर तो हो सकता है आपके डिपेंडेंट्स हैं तो आप उस लम सम से स्कूल फी पे करना चाहो, हो सकता है कोई सिर्फ लिविंग एक्सपेंसेस इससे फुलफिल करना चाहे, हो सकता है किसी को सिर्फ ये हो कि हाँ मेरे को कुछ लोन ले रखा था मैंने तो इसलिए लिया था वो पे कर दूं, मुझे बाकी लिविंग एक्सपेंसेस का कोई इशू नहीं है एंड चिल्ड्रन भी मेरे अब दे आर डिपेंडेंट ऑन देमसेल्व्स. सो ऐसे सटल सटल जो एग्जांपल्स हैं कि वेयर दैट लमसम कुड बी यूज्ड, दैट सम अश्योर्ड, वेयर द पॉलिसी होल्डर कुड यूज दैट, वो सारी चीजें इंपॉर्टेंट हो जाती हैं टू गेन दोज एक्स्ट्रा हाफ मार्क्स, that you give examples and expand on your answer. Okay, so these are the kinds of things that you need to know. Now, important is that we need to do certain products जिसमें I'm expecting कि whole of life, endowment, term, ये सब आपको पता है, and what you need to however focus on and how you need to study, I've updated that approach in your minds from my side at least. Okay, कि पढ़ने की अप्रोच चेंज करनी पड़ेगी, दैट यू नीड टू नो द एंटायर पीबी एफवीयू टाइप की सारे फैक्टर्स एंड यू नीड टू नो द रिस्क्स एंड द रिवॉर्ड्स और द यूजेस फ्रॉम both stakeholders point of view, and you need to know the variants key details. Now, however, the newer, for some, I don't know for how many you have done, is comes in the health insurance products, right, which are there in this chapter, which we said that critical illness is there and income protection is there. Now, I am assuming that you have read and come. So can we discuss a couple of these things and this product? Suppose we discuss this critical illness. So what are the two types of critical illness products that you studied?
Standalone and accelerated.
Yes, it's a standalone critical illness. You call it SCI or the accelerated critical illness, right? So if I say, what is this product? So how are you going to explain it to me? Someone who has not spoken yet, maybe. Or do you want me to take names? So we can't think of trying to write in the exam. If this was an exam right now, and I asked you in the exam, what is a standalone critical illness product? So you guys don't want to attempt that question. Is that so?
So in a standalone critical illness, there's only illness benefit available. There's no death benefit.
Okay, but I didn't want you to compare those. I just asked as an examiner that what is a standalone critical illness. So you're saying that it has a critical illness benefit. It doesn't have a death benefit. So is that how I'm able to understand what the product is? This is only half knowledge, right?
So
There's
a lump sum amount is paid out on when a critical illness is detected as per the policy conditions.
Okay, so we need to refine the terminology on the diagnosis of CI, right?
Yeah.
Subject to, as you said, the claim eligibility, conditions being met. Why I'm spending or focusing time here is that later on in the questions, these are the products you will be tested on. चाहे इसके ऊपर वो आपसे रिस्क पूछेगा या आपसे इसके ऊपर मैनेजमेंट पूछेगा, लेकिन आपके आंसर में कहीं ना कहीं ये फीचर्स के बिना तो आंसर इनकम्प्लीट होगा, राइट? सो अगर उस टाइम पे हम कुछ वियर्ड सी लैंग्वेज लिख देंगे तो मार्क्स कट ही जाएंगे. सो वी नीड टू नो द प्रोडक्ट in very quickly clear words because that will save exam time. You will not be spending time to framing your sentences or say rather using the wrong terminology. But there is a very important thing we are missing, that this product pays a lump sum, say the sum assured, for example, on the diagnosis of CI, but subject to a very important condition being met.
So if the
Uh,
policyholder survives the survival period.
Correct. We cannot miss that here. अगर आपने ये मिस कर दिया स्टैंड अलोन सीआई समझाते हुए इसमें से कुछ भी, ये आप लिखोगे 2 सेंटेंस से ज्यादा नहीं है, इट विल हार्डली टेक यू few seconds to type, but if you in the exam, but if you miss one or two of these, you're going to get half marks despite saying कि product chapter में prepare करके गए थे हम, ठीक है. So that is very very important. And again इसमें हमने प्रीमियम की बात नहीं की. So depending on marks and knowledge हमें पता होना चाहिए कि हाँ पीबीएफयू में से हमने बेनिफिट्स की बात की. अभी हम बहुत कुछ और एक्सप्लेन कर सकते हैं इस प्रोडक्ट के बारे में, इसके हाउ आर द प्रीमियम्स लाइक. Again, benefits में you have only told me right now when it will be paid, right? What will be paid? In what forms can it change? So there is a lot of things, other things that we can talk about here. Now, is everybody clear about the survival period that was just mentioned? If no, I can revise. That's why I'm asking. My motive here is not to test you, but to ensure that you're revising and going home.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Even if there is one person, please, you don't need to hesitate. You need to say that let's revise it. Okay. So now coming to ACI, if you have to explain this product, then what? How are you going to explain it?
So basically, it's provide a benefit like kind of lump sum payment as soon as the illness is diagnosed, and that amount gets deducted from the main benefit, and the policy continues.
Sorry,
Again, so
come again.
it's a
You're
lump sum
talking about the
benefit,
ACI, right?
ACI, right?
Yeah,
So
okay.
it provides a lump sum benefit. So the policyholder has a standard cover. So if ACI has taken subject to the predefined critical illnesses, the lump sum is paid so that, if there is a shortage of the fund to the policyholder for the treatment and all those stuff, that can be met. Plus the policy continues with a reduced benefit. And there can be reduction in the premium also, whatever is mentioned in the terms and conditions.
Okay. So, what I'm not clear here is about that you are saying this product pays on the diagnosis of CI. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And then what? Will the cover continue?
Yes, the reduced cover will continue. If the benefit the ACI benefit has been paid, then the reduced cover will continue and can be paid on the subsequent death of the policyholder.
Okay. So, number one, from the time you started explaining this product, you have brought the death word now. So, I was not, as a listener or examiner, not able to understand that continue किस चीज के लिए कर रहे हैं. What is the insured event? So, you say कि death के लिए continue कर रहे हैं, right? What
Right.
I was thinking is that maybe I don't know, I was not clear about it. And second is that the kind of ACIs, the versions across, I mean, it depends, but we need to stick to the definitions of the product that's there in the exam. So,
Is it either an or like
yes,
lump
yes.
sum?
So, yeah, so it's not like an account thing कि बचा हुआ पैसा तब मिल जाएगा and all of that. It is that whichever happens first, you get the benefit and the policy ends. Does this resonate with others? Was this what you read in the book or not?
Yes, yeah.
Yes.
Yes. So it's not like they're going to pay twice कि CI हुआ पे कर दिया, treat हो गया, फिर बचा रहा, death हुआ तब पे कर दिया. ऐसा नहीं है. What they're saying is that where the story comes from is that if the person dies, they do get the benefit. ऐसा नहीं है कि so in a way we covered it, whichever happens first. So that is what they're trying to cover essentially. Can you stop working? So we need to be clear and therefore difference वो जो शुरू में किसी ने बोला था कि मतलब when I asked them to explain the SCI, they said that इसमें diagnosis पे cover होता है, death पे नहीं होता. So I was like, that's a comparative answer. If the question asks you to compare the products, that's what you write. But then if I want you to explain the standard product, तो उसकी स्टोरी अपनी एक है. Now another important thing is कि इसमें survival period की जरूरत होती है या नहीं as a condition to be met.
Not required.
Okay, why?
That is why it's accelerated. The benefits are accelerated, whether it's a death or
Correct.
death.
Yes. So the basic meaning of the survival period was that if the person, so it's also a revision if somebody forgot and didn't tell us in the class if they forgot. So if the person got diagnosed here with the CI, then what the survival period in an SCI product wants you to do is that suppose this is a 8 week period or whatever, so that the person with the CI, they have it, but they are not dead yet. So they survive this period of 8 weeks. That's hence the name survival period. They need to survive the 8 week period. If I set the period equal to 8 weeks, now this is a product feature. Somebody can set it to be 10 weeks, 12 weeks, whatever it is. These are just examples, so don't quote them. But this is a product feature that company will set that they have to survive this and then the claim payment is made. Now, if whereas there is an ACI product, which as such is saying is going to pay whatever happens first, earlier death or diagnosis, so they don't, this doesn't make sense for them to now have a survival period and ask them to survive, etc. Right? So that's the intuitive fundamental part of it, which I can see that you guys know. So these are because it's a closed book exam, these are slides which I have made as quick mind maps and holistic revision of products for you, because eventually you will have to retain, and there are revision stages that come where you can't open the entire book and go through every feature looking it up from the book. So like this one is for CI. So what are the premiums? Like, so we say regular usually, but sometimes can be single. Also, in health insurance products, the premiums could be level or inflation linked, they could be guaranteed or reviewable. So these are general other variants, just so that if a question comes that there are reviewable premiums, so you're not shaken up. You know कि हाँ हो सकते हैं, हमने पढ़ा, yes, it's possible, right? Then there is a lump sum, but in this there can sometimes also be that same lump sum but paid in installments. So again, something to not get shaken up about if you see that being discussed in the exam, somebody selling this kind of product, right? Then on the diagnosis of CI, or which is basically always a defined list of illnesses during that policy term. Now, this defined list of illnesses is very important because I might as a policy holder be thinking that okay, ये सारी serious illnesses हैं, ये 10 कोई भी होगा cover मिलेगा, but insurer को प्राइस करना है प्रोडक्ट, उनको अपना रिस्क एपेटाइट सेट करना है कि हाँ हम हर बीमारी को सीरियस मान के नहीं देंगे, हमने अपनी पॉलिसी में कुछ लिस्ट कर दिए हैं एक्स नंबर ऑफ डिजीजेस जिसको हम इलनेसेस जिसको हम सीरियस इस प्रोडक्ट में मानते हैं और कवर करेंगे. सो दिस इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. If somebody tries to claim that they report a claim and saying कि मुझे इसके बाहर इस लिस्ट के बाहर कुछ हुआ है, so the insurer has all the right to say that no, this thing is not covered in the policy. Okay, so this is very important. Then इसमें indemnity type benefits नहीं होते. Indemnity is a concept which says that whatever is the kind of your treatment cost, because एक important stakeholder इसमें health insurance में stakeholders बढ़ जाते हैं. Currently we're talking about so far insurer and policy holder is the main stakeholders, right? Now if you talk about health insurance world, so these are all health products which basically pay in some or the other form on sickness. Number one, are we clear about what I'm talking about when I say health insurance products, that they cover sickness in a way? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah. So we know the difference between life and health products. So one is that life product is going to pay, it's about life or death. In a way, they cover death. Health insurance products are going to cover some form of illness, injury, sickness, right? This we call in actual terms as mortality. What is this called? The sickness thing.
Morbidity.
Correct, morbidity. Why I'm focusing on these words is because if I ask you key risks in a product, in a term product, you say mortality is the most significant risk. In such kind of health insurance products like CI, morbidity is the biggest risk. So we need to know what are the key risks in the products, right? And there is one more very important difference between life and health, very fundamental. What is that difference in life products and health products?
Life, there's a single claim. Health, there can be multiple claims.
Correct. Life product, death hui, policy ends as the only event and it can happen only once, right? Death is an absorbing state. So health insurance important is that there can be multiple claims in certain types of products, not all. So CI is a product where you're not going to get multiple times claim, right? एक बार आपका उस policy term में CI diagnose हुआ, आपको policy मिली, end हुआ. लेकिन another product which comes under health world where you can get a multiple claim. Can you give me an example of that product?
Income protection.
Income protection.
Yes, income protection. Something that pays on जब आप sick हुए, आपको उस period के लिए regular stream of payments मिली, आप recover हो गए, payment stop हो गई. But then again during the policy term, if you again fall sick or get injured and you meet the claim eligibility conditions, of course, again, it's a second time you can claim, third time, so multiple claims. So that is another difference. Now, in terms of the stakeholders, there are additional stakeholders that come into the picture in a health product. Can you tell me one of the very important third stakeholder that enters the picture?
Government.
Okay, government, yes.
The hospitals, medical.
Yes. Very, very important. This is a primary one, I would say. Government, yes, very, very important, government or the state. But it still depends on country to country, you know, where there is national health systems, this plays a bigger role, etc. But important is in health products that because the policyholder, the reason or the insured event is that they are going to get sick, right? The morbidity part. So they are going to get what? Treatment, which should be at a facility like a hospital, right? Or a medical provider is what we say. Yes or no?
Yes.
Now, why this is different? Life के बाद death हो गई तो अभी आपको कुछ हो थोड़ी सकता है, you're gone. But if you fall sick, yes, one thing is for sure, you are getting treatment. ये possible ही नहीं है एक बंदे के लिए कि वो hospital या medical provider पे ना जाए. तो इसीलिए इंपॉर्टेंट हो जाता है कि आपकी पॉलिसी होल्डर की नीड क्या है एक्चुअली. इसमें पॉलिसी होल्डर की नीड ये है या ये कह लो किसी भी प्रोडक्ट का यूज जो उसको लगता है इस इवेंचुअली फंडामेंटल नीड इज कि वो उस लमसम का करेगा क्या, क्यों चाहिए उसको ये लमसम सिकनेस पे. टेल मी. नहीं पता.
Medical
Hospital
treatment.
bills.
एग्जैक्टली उसको मेडिकल बिल देना है, उसको कॉस्ट ऑफ ट्रीटमेंट कवर करनी है ना. सो ये वर्ड्स जितने फंडामेंटल है, ये लैंग्वेज उतने ही मार्क्स लेके आती है और उतना ही इट स्ट्राइक्स द कॉर्ड राइट. The most logical way to put it is the cost of treatment. They want to cover this. So the cost of treatment, however, can go, you know, unpredictable at times, or it is not always possible to estimate it. अब insurance company जब product price करेगी, they will have to model what? Claim amount. Model करना पड़ेगा उनको, yes or no? करोगे कि नहीं करोगे?
Yes.
तो क्लेम अमाउंट यहाँ पर एक फिक्स तो होगा नहीं हर सिचुएशन में कि ट्रीटमेंट कॉस्ट कवर करने का पर्पस था और वो फिक्स्ड है. ऐसा तो नहीं होगा. किसी का 2 दिन में ट्रीटमेंट हो जाएगा, किसी की मे बी स्टेज 4 पहुंच चुका है, सपोज इट्स अ कैंसर या कुछ भी. तो इसीलिए क्लेम अमाउंट बिकम्स क्वाइट ऑफन इन द प्राइसिंग स्टेज अ डिस्कशन कि इसको हमें किसी तरह सेट करके फिक्स्ड रखना है या हम इसको वी कैन लिंक इट टू द एक्चुअल कॉस्ट ऑफ ट्रीटमेंट जो पॉलिसी होल्डर पे कर रहा है. अब सीआई प्रोडक्ट क्या करता है, वो यूजुअली एक सम अश्योर्ड फिक्स कर देता है. But quite often there can be cases in another products. I'm not talking about this product. And see, there can be case कि मेरे पास एक mediclaim policy है. Now I am hospitalized. I get a 3 days of hospital bill. So that is what the cost of treatment was. And then the policy could maybe cover the entire cost instead of sticking to a fixed sum assured. So ऐसे discussions होते हैं health world में. So quite often we say that in a health insurance world, claim amount, it's not necessary that we fix it. It could be an assumption it's in itself. और उस assumption को set करने के लिए हमें medical world से data लेना पड़ता है कि last year में what have we seen in the hospital industry, how many people were diagnosed, how much was the treatment cost. वो सब देख वेख के कंपनी प्रोडक्ट प्राइस करती है, राइट. तो इसलिए अलग अलग फॉर्म्स की पॉलिसी होती है. नो वी नीड टू स्टिक टू द प्रोडक्ट फीचर्स. बट इसीलिए मैं इसको एक्सप्लेन करती, नॉट इंडेमनिटी. दैट इंडेमनिटी हम उस चीज को कह देते हैं कि जितना भी ट्रीटमेंट कॉस्ट आया वो सारा क्लेम पॉलिसी दे देगी. But we are saying here, this is not an indemnity. Sum assured would already be fixed. It's not an unknown assumption. Does it make sense or not?
Yes.
Okay. So these things are very, very important. So these slides, only that person can make use of them, of these slides as revision tools during the exam prep. नंबर वन, जिनके कॉन्सेप्ट्स क्लियर है कि मैंने अगर ये बुलेट बनाया तो आर यू एबल टू एक्सपैंड एंड एक्सप्लेन दिस बुलेट टू मी. ये एक्सप्लेन भी वही कर सकता है जिसको कोर रीडिंग पता है. दिस इज अ क्विक रेडी रेफरर बट only helpful for someone who actually can tell me the underlying story if I ask you to expand. तो उसी के लिए ideas helpful है. So therefore you use them, but it's important you read and understand the core reading so that you are able to expand on these. So similarly, there are a couple of slides in between revising the key actuarial aspects and the risks and the stories of the products. कि अगर मैंने आपसे अब income protection मान लो पूछा, so can you quickly tell me what is an IP product? Yes or no?
It's a
This is an
replacement of income in the event of sickness, maybe for a prolonged sickness, maybe for the period of incapacity.
Okay. What else? Somebody was saying something, right?
yeah, the same thing. It's a percentage of your income that you generally get back for the period of incapacity, and you'll pay it either up till recovery or death or expiry of the policy term, whichever is earlier.
Okay. So we have some information there, but again, if I ask you to quickly, you'll tell me a little bit more with more clarity. So I could see that there was a juggle of words कि हम incapacity बोलें, sickness बोलें, क्या बोलें. तो ये चीजें हमें clear होनी चाहिए, because जब question में अलग-अलग tricky versions of the product design होते हैं, तो the examiner plays over there to see कि हाँ you're comfortable or not. So number one, this product is usually a regular premium product. And in return of those regular premiums, whenever there is a period of incapacity, which is basically you're unable to do your work either due to sickness or injury. So it can be either you got injured or you got sick. Important is that it's a period of incapacity. That is, you are not able to carry out your work. So during that period of time, the claim payments will be made, which is a regular series of payments. So I'm now defining the form of benefit, that it's a series of payments. When it's paid is this. When it stops is what was mentioned, that it's going to stop at this point, right? But again, there is a very important condition here. Subject to meeting that condition is only when the claim gets triggered.
Deferred period.
Yes. So again, why did we miss that is what I'm challenging here. That certain things are so fundamental that irrespective the marks, even if it's a 1 mark, 2 mark, आप ये miss नहीं करो तो आपके लिए best रहेगा, right? So what is a deferred period? Can you tell me? If a person falls sick here, where is the deferred period and what does it signify?
The initial few weeks where the benefit would not be paid. That's a deferred period.
Where the benefit would not be paid. So if I
The
don't want to
benefit
pay the benefit, कब तक ना पे करूं? मेरा मन करे 12 हफ्ते 24 हफ्ते क्या करूं? When should I start paying? क्या देखूं मैं उस पीरियड में?
that the
It is
person is still sick during that period.
yes, that is very important. तो अगर हम अभी भी आधी ही चीज एक्सप्रेस कर रहे हैं तो इट्स लाइकली कि हम अभी से ठीक कर लें until unless we get it half marks or wrong in the exam. Important is that the person, that a period, again as a product feature, it will be defined in the policy that this company is selling, say, AGIP product named after me, suppose. So it has, say, a 12-week deferred period. So what the company is going to see is that the person, when they fell sick, so they continue to be sick throughout that period. So 12 weeks from the point you fell sick, So this is the point of sickness. From that, over the 12 weeks, you continue to be sick. If so, then a regular stream of payments will start. Suppose amount is B per annum, monthly, whatever is the frequency. And when these will stop is, as we said, either the person dies or they recover, whichever happens first, or in case the policy term ends. Do you now remember, or is it clear that what you need to look at during the deferred period? Yes or no?
Yes.
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 Now, again, this was an SP2 or I don't know, I don't want to call it, but half level of preparation compared to an SA2. Important is that we know that we don't want to ratify this. If deferred period has been introduced as a product feature, then it should again be looked at from two perspectives, from two stakeholders. That's the level of preparation we need, right? We need to satisfy the insurer. उसको confidence होना चाहिए, हाँ मुझे feature चाहिए और क्यों चाहिए. Yes, it meets my requirements. And similarly with the policy holder, दोनों को इससे कुछ risk reward जो भी है, मतलब at least benefit, they have to find that equilibrium. Yes or no?
Yes.
ऐसा तो नहीं हो सकता मैं इंश्योरर हूँ, मैंने पत्थर पे लिख दिया कि यस 12 वीक तक बीमार रहो और इसको पसंद आ रही है नहीं आ रही, वो खरीदेगा ये प्रोडक्ट? डिमांड ही नहीं देगा. दैट्स व्हाई आई सेड दैट इक्विलिब्रियम. या इसने कहा कि मेरे को 6 वीक का चाहिए, वो दे नहीं सकता, तो जब वो दे नहीं सकता तो तुम खरीदोगे क्या? दैट्स व्हाट आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट. सो इट्स नॉट जस्ट द स्टोरी एंड की डेफर्ड पीरियड ये होता है हमने रट लिया. हमें रटने की भी जरूरत नहीं पड़ेगी अगर हमें एक एक्चुअल अंडरलाइंग स्टोरी पता है, बिकॉज दिस इज नॉट अ as much theory as you feel. This is coming from बहुत सारी मॉडलिंग हो रही है इसके पीछे, बहुत सारा नंबर गेम चल रहा है इसके पीछे. सो दैट इज वेयर द एक्चुअल पार्ट कम्स इन. सो क्या इसके बेनिफिट्स और रिक्वायरमेंट हो सकते हैं इंश्योरर को और पॉलिसी होल्डर को, हमें वो पता होना चाहिए. नाउ यू हैव टू टेल मी बिकॉज यू रेड द थ्योरी एंड कम ना.
So, from an insurer's point of view, it could provide fraudulent claims and promote recovery to work, early recovery
Okay.
to work in case the illness is not serious.
Yes, very important point that it gives an opportunity for small illnesses or small claims in that fashion to recover. अब आपको फ्लू हुआ, आपने तो उसको भी एलिजिबल माना हुआ है, ये सीआई तो है नहीं कि कैंसर पे दोगे, आपने छोटी छोटी सिकनेसेस भी कवर कर रखी हैं इन दैट लिस्ट. तो अगर आपने कवर कर रखी है, अब आप फ्लू को दो तो सही 6 हफ्ते, हो सकता है वो खुद ही ठीक हो जाए, वरना इंश्योरर का क्लेम कॉस्ट बढ़ता चला जाएगा, नंबर ऑफ क्लेम्स भी बढ़ते चले जाएंगे. Does this make sense? हो सकता है यहाँ पर वो रिकवर हो जाए अगर हम उसको चांस दें, तो हम पैसा पे करने की जरूरत ही नहीं एज एन इंश्योरर.
Yes.
दैट्स व्हाई डेफर्ड पीरियड की रिक्वायरमेंट इसलिए ये थी कि उसको सिक रहना पड़ेगा. इसको हम कहते हैं रिमेन सिक थ्रू आउट द डेफर्ड पीरियड. दिस इज अ रिक्वायरमेंट that if the policyholder remains sick throughout the deferred period, then they get eligible for suppose B pounds annually as the claim stream of claim payments. तो इससे उसकी क्लेम कॉस्ट कंट्रोल होती है. सिमिलरली वो हर पॉलिसी क्लेम करेगी तो उतना ही क्लेम एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन कॉस्ट भी आएगा. यस और नो? नो, नहीं
Yes.
आएगा? आई गई. ओके. सो again thinking more actuarially for an SA2, what is this really happening? Why I want to control my claim cost? What am I really doing with this feature by setting up a deferred period?
Because premium can be lower. I mean, it can make product more affordable.
Okay. One angle is that affordable because higher the deferred period, lower the premium.
Premium.
ये सबको समझ आ रहा है? Or just think in your minds that this clicks to you or not?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Everybody is at a yes?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Now another very important thing, so this is one reason, fine. और क्या हो रहा है अगर कोई अपने कॉस्ट कंट्रोल करने की कोशिश कर रहा है इसके थ्रू, तो व्हाट इज दिस? Isn't this a way of adapting the product design so as to manage your level of risk in the product that you face? Yes or no?
Yes.
So often this is one of the risk mitigation techniques. So हमने प्रोडक्ट पढ़ना स्टार्ट करा, उसमें हमने एक फीचर रखने की कोशिश की which was not the right way, deferred period. फिर हमने उसे स्टेक होल्डर से कनेक्ट किया और हमने देखा यार ये तो बहुत सारे रोल्स प्ले कर रहा है. It's even linking to the risk and risk mitigation part of it. क्यों? क्योंकि as an insurer, I would know that okay, I have a limited appetite or a set appetite for how much morbidity risk I can afford to have. Now, within morbidity risk is a very general umbrella term. Based on the product in question, you need to adapt your language. So, in an IP product, what is the key risk? Within morbidity, how do you explain it?
Incidents.
What incidents? Sorry, come again. Come again.
Sickness or accident incidents.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but like, can you complete that line? What do you mean by that? What is going to happen? Why will the risk arise?
Because the policyholder would be incapacitated due to incident or sickness.
Mm-hmm. So, what risk is there, or how do we write it in the exam when we discuss risk is that the risk to the insurer, number one, the stakeholder, we are thinking from the hat of which stakeholder? We are thinking from insurer's point of view. To the insurer, the risk is that the number of claims that come in actually are greater than expected, what they priced or reserved for. Is that right? That's the risk. Yes or no?
Yeah.
So simply saying that policyholder could claim or could fall sick or incapacitated, fine. But that is something that company had expected. That's why they're offering the cover. Risk is not that this will happen. That is expected. That's the E. The risk is when actual experience goes worse than your expectation. Correct? Now, within that claims part, in this type of product, there are two angles. The claims is made of two things, A into B. What is that? Not the number of claims. I'm saying that the company will have a risk appetite for how much claims, how much pounds they can pay, right? How much burden they can take. So it is number of claims into claim amount. Yes or no?
Yep.
Frequency into
Yep.
severity, right? So exactly. So what we are trying to say here is that both can cause a risk. Now, in this particular situation, therefore, if that's a risk, there are different ways the company tries to control or manage that risk. One type of risk mitigation method is that you design or change the design in the product in a way that this solves your exposure problem. I take limited exposure only. So how do I do it is that, okay, for number of claims, maybe what I can do is let me put up a deferred period condition so that many claims get resolved themselves during the deferred period. So is this a way to mitigate that risk exposure? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. The other way that is often there is when you said that how much will that claim be? So how much is the claim in an IP policy? What's the claim amount?
Some percentage of the salary that they receive at the time of the claim.
So salary pre-claim. So we say
What's
that we apply a replacement ratio to that, right? So number one, we are trying to say that, okay, we are not going to take so much risk. The claim amount cannot go so high. We cannot replace everything. We are only going to give you some percentage. And even on top of that, there can be another capping. That if somebody's salary is so high, कि उसका X percentage भी इतना high हो रहा है, so I can even cap it to a pound amount or some particular percentage increase. So again, this is a product feature that some companies use that yes, we are using a deferred period that solves this purpose, but then there's another need. So therefore, the claim amount is also a risk in this case. So we will do a capping also in addition to the replacement ratio. So again, can you see these are subtle ways of risk mitigation or limiting the exposure? Yes or no?
Yes.
So there is a list of risks we should know. And then if the exam question comes that, how will the risks play a role or which are the key risks in the product, etc. It's a very popular question. You have seen that in previous subjects also. Anyway, so you should know that list and then you should know how to apply. So to the question, what is the product that they have designed or discussed? In that situation, what are the risks that will apply? Which means what will be key, what will be not key. So this is how you attempt an exam question. You have a list of risks prepared in your mind. Similarly, you have risk mitigation techniques, ideas for that, basically prepared in your mind, right? You should know the different types of techniques, and then you see that, okay, which ones apply if they ask me that how the risk can be managed. So in that list of techniques, can you give me certain lists of techniques of risk management for the company? Important is the stakeholder. I'm talking from insurer point of view.
Reinsurance.
Okay, reinsurance.
Claim exclusions, for example, claim due to suicide or any drug abuse.
Okay, so the
Underwriting.
underwriting. Okay, so the kind of example you're giving is basically terms and conditions in product design. This is the idea you prepare and go, and then you apply giving an example, like you said, exclusions. Yes or no?
Okay.
Right? I'm trying to make you prepared for, I give you a question. What you don't have to do is vomit out immediately the thoughts you get. That is not how you clear the exams. You need to link back to the core reading what you studied and then form a structure in your mind that yes, number one, this question asks about, if it asks about risk mitigation, don't just abruptly say कि exclusions लगा दो या ये ले लो, ठीक है? You need to think कि हाँ यार मैंने अच्छा core reading prepare किया है. I know that I prepared a list of risk mitigation techniques. Let me go by that ideas as my headers and let me apply which ones work here. और इवन इफ आपको कुछ इमीडिएटली क्लिक हो रहा है, यू शुड नो हाउ टू प्रेजेंट इट रादर, राइट? तो प्रोडक्ट डिजाइन का जो चेंज है या उसकी टर्म्स एंड कंडीशंस है, वो एक मेथड है. उसी में एक्सक्लूजन आएंगे, उसी में कैपिंग आएगी टू क्लेम अमाउंट जो हमने डिस्कस की, उसी में लॉन्गर डेफर पीरियड आएंगे. यस और नो?
Yes.
Are you able to see how I am connecting the things and forming a structure in my mind? Are you able to learn that from
Yeah.
me? और ट्रेन योर माइंड, ये मैटर करता है. इसमें ऐसी कोई नॉलेज नहीं है जो इतनी टफ है आज में जो मैंने डिस्कस करी कि गॉड यू कांट क्रैक इट. टेक्निकल टॉपिक इज विद प्रॉफिट्स, सॉल्वेंसी, IFRS 17, एम्बेडेड वैल्यू. ये जो हम कर रहे हैं, ये हम इसलिए कर रहे हैं कि ऐसा ना हो कि आप एक संडे इवनिंग को बैठ के चैप्टर पढ़ रहे हो, थोड़ा बोर हो गए, थोड़ा फोन देख लिया, अरे चैप्टर तो पढ़ लिया, तैयारी हो गई. ये तैयारी करनी है. दिस व्हाट आई एम सेइंग, इन द टॉपिक्स व्हिच कैन बिकम योर स्ट्रेंथ, ताकि एटलीस्ट प्रोडक्ट्स एंड रिस्क्स एंड रिस्क मिटिगेशन में हमारे मार्क्स लूज ना हो. That's the whole idea. I'm going to now share a Word document where we have some questions from past year papers. But before that, just tell me, because there are, see, the group, the class has a wide variety of candidates, So people have different work experience, people have different academic level of experience, etc. So maybe you can tell me later one-to-one also if you're finding this useful, if you're finding it too fast-paced or too fundamental, etc. Okay. Again, as I'm saying, important is keep asking your doubts, and if you have any other types of questions or such feedback, you let me know so that eventually you find the class helpful. Okay, so can you see my screen and my video right now?
Yes.
Okay. So let's see how to approach a question and strip out what we can attempt at this point and how to answer it, etc. So number one, as you see that this is a question from September 2019, okay? So it was a 53 marks question. So like much more than even like that 35 marker that I told you. So sometimes very long questions also come, and especially in the past they used to come. So what this question says is, A number one, you can see how it's broken down into multiple parts, and their weightages can be seen on the right. The first question, the first part, it says outline the factors a life insurance company should consider when deciding whether to launch a new product. It's for 9 marks. Then they say that a small life insurance company has sold only term assurance policies for a number of years and is looking to expand its product range. Okay, it has designed 2 additional products, an accelerated critical illness product and a standalone critical illness product. And then they're saying that the premiums for both products will be reviewed every 5 years. The design has been agreed, but premium rates have not yet been decided. Okay. The product will be sold through independent financial advisors alongside the company's existing term product. Is this question clear so far?
Yes.
Yes or no? Okay. Then they are saying that they're testing you on the remaining parts. They're saying describe the risks to the company from launching these new products. Now, this was a 21 mark question. Then further, when you have described the risks, they say to reduce the risk, the company management have put in place a 3 lines of defense model, and they test you on the remaining areas. Now, if you have started reading chapter 21, this bit you will understand why they are testing and where the context is coming from. This part, some from chapter 21 and a lot more for the products which discuss the risks alongside only, just chapters 1, 2 type chapters, right? And this is, as I said, the design, the factors, which is the insurer's point of view, or the factors, they come in a later chapter. You remember some of that from the past subjects and some we discussed today, but this is where the story connects very popularly because very fundamental knowledge it is, because what I just said, how I'm able to link back to the core reading of what I studied where and how I can understand why I'm being tested on these, that it's a part of the syllabus. Is that what you are able to gauge as well? Are you able to follow that? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So how we approach a question is therefore very important. Number one is always read the entire question. It should never be first part देखा आंसर करना start कर दिया. No. You have to read the entire 53 mark question at least once. Why? Because the parts are linked to each other. You are able to see that what story the examiner who set the paper was trying to think of. कि पहले मैं इस topic को छेड़ूं, फिर मैं उससे next link up करूं, then next. So that is one help you get. Often when you read the entire question, you get ideas which you are not able to think up front. Number one. Number two, often people, what they do is that, okay, something they wrote in the third part, but later when they read the fourth part of the question, they said, oh no, I think I should have written it over here instead of part 3. कि ये यार इसमें ज़्यादा fit हो रहा है. These are small things. I'm not saying it's a major thing. इतना बुद्धू कोई भी नहीं होता है. But these things do some of the other time happen. Is that yes or no?
Yes.
So these are basic errors. Despite the quantum of preparation we do, if we keep in mind little bit of these tips and tricks, हमारी performance अपने आप better हो जाती है. तो read the entire question, look at the marks and then start answering. तो अभी मैंने पूरा question पढ़ा, ये नहीं पढ़ा because I know कि हमने वो चीज़ अभी करी नहीं है, but you are still able to understand. Then second what I did was I linked back to the core reading कि कहाँ पे मैंने क्या पढ़ा है, therefore I have to write from that. अगर मैं बिल्कुल कुछ abrupt लिख दूंगी तो it's not going to help. Then important is highlight. The third tip is that highlight the key question words. Right? Just इसमें it's they're saying outline the factors and understand the amount of marks it carries. Similarly, इसमें part 2 में they're saying describe the risk. So there is a difference between outlining something and describing something. Marks also reflects that, but still you should know the difference between the different key question words, right? Etc. So I'm going to focus on this part today and a little bit over here, because this is on the basis of what we have studied. So we are not leaving the question practice towards the middle or the end of the preparation stage leading to the exam, because that's too late to practice question and see what it's actually being asked and are you able to crack it. So you should regularly practice questions. Some I will do in the class, some I will give for home practice which you have to do. You can't skip it if you want to pass the paper this time. So, do we, number one, know the difference between an outline and a describe in terms of what the examiner expect from us? Yes or no? Can anybody quickly address that?
Arushi, I'm a bit confused always. So can you
Okay.
like explain, like dictionary meaning is fine, but from an
Yeah.
examiner point of view, what
Okay.
precisely is the requirement? If you can help, that will be great.
Yes. Okay, yeah, that's the point. That was the reason I took this question practice up and I asked this. So I'm glad it was of help. So see, outline, what it basically means is, so I will put up few question words separately. There is outline, there is list, there is describe, there is discuss. These are some of the common ones that I can think of. So list is simply, number one, you going to use bullet points for the writing style, answering any question. ये तो clear है, okay. So, but in the list, the bullets you will make, probably let's try to answer that first part that suits this the most to answer to teach you this kind of a thing, which said outline the factors the company should consider when deciding whether to launch a product. So, what is the answer to this question? A couple of them we discussed today: profitability and sensitivity of profits, marketability, capital, competition, right? So just listing these factors, just like that, profitability, marketability. So this is the list. If you come to outline with what the one that they've actually asked, so in that, what I'm going to do is that if I give you the first idea as my profitability, I will have to at least write one line to briefly explain it. That's what outline would mean. Had it been a describe that describe the factors that the insurer will think of before launching a product, again, I will probably have that same idea because that is the answer, profitability. But then I will probably have 2 to 3 sub bullet points and explain it in more detail. Firstly, is this making sense? Or is this clear now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Now, discuss what this would mean is, this is typically the question word when the examiner wants you to discuss two sides of the thing. So whatever is the context of the question, they want you to discuss the advantages or the positives of it and also the disadvantages or the negative of your idea. Now, profitability, if this is the idea, this probably word doesn't suit here as a question word, because why will somebody not want to look at profitability? So uska disadvantage kuch nahi hai. So this question word is not suitable here. But to give you an example, if suppose you were asked that to sell, suppose this term product that they're selling, right? If they ask you, discuss the suitable distribution channels. Had the question been this, suitable distribution channels. So now in that, how will you answer is that you will, suppose you are able to think of 4 main channels. Suppose you start with Salesforce, agents, the financial advisors. So for each of those idea or heading, when you will expand using sub bullets, they expect you to give the positive that how it suits the situation for sales and what are the flip side of that channel for the situation given in the question. That financial advisors, that yes, there is less mis-selling via the channel, so good sales can come. But then in financial advisors, it can be that, some amount of anti-selection could happen in a way that, the channel is a little bit prone to that because the advisor, they knows the product very well and they can, favor the client a bit because of the knowledge that they carry. Things like those. So the positives and the negatives of the idea you want to discuss are expected in a discuss question. Is that clear now?
Yes.
Okay. So if you still have any doubts, of course, you can ask now, or we are going to practice question in all the classes going forward. So you will eventually see the same tricks being used every time, the technique, so that it's not like you have to train your mind at the very last closer to the exam. Every class you will be able to adopt to this style, which will help you, because this is what plays role on top of the knowledge you have, but still if you're not able to crack, these are the things that help. Okay, so now when we said that we want to answer this question, that two additional products are being talked about, ACI and SCI, right? I have some other knowledge given. So underline the key points: financial advisors, premium rates not decided yet, the two products, etc. So they're saying describe the risk to the company from launching these new products. And it's a 21-mark question. Now just try to tell me how will you structure and what will you write in this thing? How will you think of approaching or addressing this question? I don't want to do a passive practice of questions, which is the question dekha, आधा minute सोचा और answer देख लिया. That's not going to help. Let's imagine we are in the exam hall right now. We are going to crack this now and then compare how close we went to the examiner solution or what were the pitfalls. Okay. So can you guys help me answer this? Because you have to start the thinking process now instead of just going to the exam day and doing it there. It has to be participative discussion because I'm spending time for your question practice, not mine, right?
So since this is a new product for the company, so the company may not have the data to price the product.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So there may be a lack of data.
Mm-hmm. So mispricing risk. So important is that what we should first think of is that it's a 21-mark question. It's a describe question that I need to have a column vertically of the list of risks that I want to have in my answer, right? And then within that, I will have sub bullets to explain each of those risks. Is this clear to everybody? And now are you able to adapt to this style? Yes or no?
Yes.
What about others?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So this risk was mentioned. So number one, lack of data is there, and I should have a list of risks, as I said, pre-prepared in my mind and see which ones apply here or which ones I can discuss or which ones don't apply, right? There are many times marks for that also to state that, okay, something is not material. So when, sorry, who said this point?
Vritika.
Okay, hi, Ritika. So when you said this point, now you need to explain it for me, please, for completeness.
So mispricing risk, which can lead to incorrect premium being set. So premium can be higher or lower.
Okay.
Then it can also lead to incorrect reserves being set.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so the kind of this needs a little bit of preparation and improvement. So let's learn from it so that in the next future classes, whenever we see a risk question, we are able to do it. So this is what the preparation comes from. Now we had this idea कि mispricing का risk होता है जहां पर lack of data होता है, right? So now we need to apply. We had two questions, two products in the question ACI and SCI. जब तक हम इन पे apply नहीं करेंगे तो we are not going to get good marks because this is then a general checklist type का answer. Yes or no?
Okay.
है ना? या फिर एटलीस्ट हम हेल्थ पे तो अप्लाई करें. अलग अलग हम हर रिस्क को मान लो नहीं भी करना चाहते डिस्कस या हमें वी आर स्ट्रगलिंग टू जनरेट पॉइंट्स, तो एटलीस्ट हेल्थ प्रोडक्ट से कुछ तो बताएं कि इसमें डेटा प्रॉब्लम क्या है. ये तो मैं आपको टर्म प्रोडक्ट में भी जो ऑलरेडी बेचना उसमें भी कहती कि लैक ऑफ डेटा क्या ऐसा है या इसमें ये चीज ज्यादा बड़ी प्रॉब्लम है इन प्रोडक्ट्स में, क्या ये ज्यादा मटेरियल रिस्क है. सो इम्पॉर्टेंट इज व्हेन वी से लैक ऑफ डेटा, when there is not enough credible data, it mispricing is the ultimate result कि प्रीमियम सही सेट नहीं होता. बट इन बिटवीन व्हाट कम्स इज दैट इवेंचुअली आप assumptions सेट नहीं कर पा रहे हो सही. Yes or no?
Yeah.
That's where the data impacts. This is not policy data, just to clarify. I know you guys know, but there are two different risks. Sometimes the risk is policy data नहीं है, इसलिए वो valuation side risk होता है कि रिजर्विंग में अगर पॉलिसी डेटा ढंग से नहीं है तो हमें प्रॉब्लम हो सकती है. ठीक है, यहाँ पर अभी वो लॉन्चिंग द प्रोडक्ट्स की बात कर रहे हैं. तो दिस प्रोडक्ट, the stage of the product life cycle where we are standing in that flow chart we saw na arrows wala, so we are at the very initial phase where we are thinking of designing and launching. So this is the historic experience data कि annually किस टाइप की मतलब कितने number of claims आते रहे हैं etc. We need all of that to set key assumptions. Now what are the key assumptions in a critical illness product? The claim incidence rate is a very important assumption. Yes or no?
No.
that is the number of people who get diagnosed in the first place. तो जब हम ये बोलते हैं कि हाँ there is lack of data to set these kinds of assumptions, so मैंने examiner को say I have earned marks, I fetched marks कि see I know this, I'm not talking generic, I'm talking about this particular key assumption being talked about and difficulty in pricing because of lack of experience data here, and why is usually also another mispricing risk के अंदर क्या मुझे लिखना चाहिए health products में, वो मेरी preparation है. For example, now why, as per knowledge also, why do we think these products are tougher to price? Because there are a lot of factors that play a role in making our life difficult in pricing these products. For example, medical advancements. Medical advancements से फर्क क्या पड़ता है? Because I told you in products में third stakeholder and the main issue is treatment. तो अभी पहले मान लो लोगों को पता ही नहीं होता था हमें ये बीमारी है, बिकॉज डायग्नोसिस नहीं करवाते थे, टेस्ट अवेलेबल नहीं थे अफोर्डेबल रेट्स पे, टेक्नोलॉजी वाज नॉट सो गुड. बट इफ देयर आर मेडिकल एडवांसमेंट्स हैपनिंग इन द मेडिकल इंडस्ट्री, दे आर गोइंग टू इम्पैक्ट द फ्यूचर ऑफ द इंश्योरर, बिकॉज cheaper and easily available diagnostic tests would mean more people are able to recognize that they have that illness within the term of the policy and make a claim. Yes or no? Yes or no? So I'm giving you different reasons of mispricing risk. Lack of data is there. The dynamic nature of medical advancements is there. So these are the examples of the bullets. When you expand, you are able to generate more points in your answer heading, which was the error of mispricing, the risk of mispricing. Because health insurance products are prone to this. देन व्हाट द एग्जामिनर एक्सपेक्ट्स इज, अगर आप रिस्क समझा भी रहे हो तो इतना दिमाग आप में हो दैट आप मटेरियल रिस्क पहले लिख रहे हो. ऐसा नहीं कि आप बाद में लिखोगे तो मार्क्स नहीं मिलेंगे, बट ऑफन यू हैव मोर टू डिस्कस देयर एंड दे अप्रिशिएट दैट. एंड ऑल्सो इफ यू स्ट्रगल विद टाइम, आपको पता है आपने मोर मटेरियल एंड जिनमें आपके पास ज्यादा चीजें थी लिखने की, वो आपने सही टाइम सही जगह पे इन्वेस्ट करा है. So this is one of the good important risks for health products. Then what is the other risk जो हम क्लास के शुरू से बात कर रहे हैं? ACI SCI में ये हमने डिस्कस कर लिया. Yes, we are talking about the morbidity risks. We are talking about, in simple words, that claims, if they are more than what we expect, right? If they're higher than what we, if they come out to be higher than what we expect, then we will have financial impact. रिस्क की डेफिनेशन इस चीज से बनती है, फाइनेंशियल इम्पैक्ट से बनती है कि इवेंचुअली मेरे साथ गलत क्या हो रहा है, अगर ये हो भी गया ज्यादा तो मैं क्या करूं. ये तो एक ऑब्जर्वेशन है. इम्पैक्ट मेरे पे ये है कि फाइनेंशियली आई विल ईदर सी लोअर प्रॉफिट्स और इट विल लीड टू लॉसेस, राइट, और लोअर प्रॉफिट्स because my claims I have to pay are much higher. So this is the risk. Then therefore, and you should discuss how they are playing role in ACI, SCI. अब जैसे अगर मैं mortality का discuss करूं, तो mortality risk में आप apply करोगे कि that this is more so materially relevant for ACI compared to and less so for SCI. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
ये चीजें apply करके more bullets से explain करते हो तो it becomes, it gives depth to each idea. It becomes an applied answer. Applied means applied to the situation in the question, and that's what when you crack an SA2 exam level question. ठीक है? So just let me show you something and before we look at the answer and everything. अभी हमने discussion start ही करा है because can you see my original whiteboard वाला screen basically?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So you might have seen this type of list of risks in the past. Some people have made acronyms in the past, etc. So this gets updated subject over subject depending on what's there in the core reading. So हम इसको और update कर सकते हैं SA2 के लिए, to be honest. But still it's not a bad list to look at for now. तो इस टाइप की preparation आपके पास होनी चाहिए. Risks देखिए क्या क्या हो सकते हैं. Policy data. This is a generic list. It's a preparation tool. This will not lead to an answer in the question. You need to apply it. Apply करने के लिए आपको चाहिए product knowledge. कि आपको पता हो ACI और SCI पे क्या चीज होगी, उसके लिए आपको प्रोडक्ट्स पता होने चाहिए. So 2 areas of the core reading you needed to link back to answer this question is the knowledge of the products and the knowledge of the risks, and how A plus B together when you apply will give you the answer. So one is the policy data अगर incomplete, inadequate हो, या other data. This is which leads to the mispricing risk. Other data से मतलब है experience data. Here we're not talking about the policy data, but the experience data, which can be one reason for the mispricing risk, right? क्योंकि आप assumption setting adequate नहीं कर पाते, तो pricing adequately नहीं कर पाते. Reputational risk, operational risk, mix of new business, volume of new business, right? This is a list of risks which I am saying कि आप अभी से रिवाइज कर लो तो आपको इस सेशन की प्रिपरेशन में हेल्प होगी. कई प्रोडक्ट्स में गारंटीज एंड ऑप्शंस होते हैं, तो उसमें अलग अलग टाइप के रिस्क होते हैं, तो उसको मॉडलिंग एंड प्राइस का मॉडलिंग प्राइसिंग वगैरह करना डिफिकल्ट हो जाता है. उसमें कैपिटल रिक्वायरमेंट ज्यादा चाहिए. रेगुलेटरी रिस्क है, एंटी सिलेक्शन एंड नॉन डिस्क्लोजर है, एंड दिस इज द मोस्ट fundamental and the most common risk in all products, which is claim rates and amounts. इसको mortality कह लो, morbidity कह लो, ये depend करता है context पे. So this is a holistic list. अब ये आपको देखना है आपको अप्लाई कैसे करना है. Does it ring a bell कि ये claim rate and amount को क्यों लिखा गया है यहाँ पर? Because we said high claims than expected is a risk. Claims we said is made of two things, frequency into amount. Yes or no? And then claims can be death claims, या हमने जैसे बात की सिकनेस से मॉर्बिडिटी. तो एक जेनरिक लिस्ट है. जब आप ये इसकी बात करोगे तो आपको पता है मुझे हेल्थ प्रोडक्ट का आंसर करना है क्वेश्चन, तो मेरे को ये टर्म यूज करनी चाहिए. यस और नो? लाइफ का करना है तो मुझे ये टर्म यूज करनी चाहिए, मोर्टैलिटी. दिस इज मेकिंग सेंस?
Yes.
Please ask me a question if somebody or any one of you is feeling that I'm not understanding हम इस लिस्ट पे क्यों आ गए, इसका क्या significance है, या you're not feeling this is the right order of thoughts, etc. I'm trying to teach you how to prepare and how to approach a question, what is the prerequisite preparation you need and all of that. Another important thing is, आज हमने एक मिस्टेक की थी जब मैंने उस टाइम पॉइंट आउट नहीं किया था, आई एम पॉइंटिंग इट राइट नाउ. जब हम प्रोडक्ट्स रिवाइज कर रहे थे, हमने 2 हेल्थ प्रोडक्ट्स रिवाइज किए, IP और CI. मैंने आपसे दोनों में कहा मेन रिस्क तो यस ये आता है मॉर्बिडिटी का, दैट इज हायर क्लेम्स बीइंग पेड देन एक्सपेक्टेड, तो ये रिस्क है. बट क्लेम्स कहाँ से आते हैं, उसमें क्या की अजम्पशन है जिससे जो हमारी गलत हो सकती है, which is morbidity risk की definition. So in the CI we just said basically that claim incidence rate probably the actual was more than expected. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. In IP, what is that key assumption which if it goes wrong, that is actual is greater than expected, तो मुझे morbidity risk आता है. What should I call that in an IP product? IP product में you cannot call it claim incidence rate. It should be called claim inception and termination rates. क्योंकि वहां पे एक सीरीज ऑफ पेमेंट्स होती है, तो चीजें इंसेप्ट होती है एंड फिर स्टॉप होती हैं, राइट? विच इज रिकवरी की वजह से, या टर्मिनेशन रेट. यस और नो?
Yeah.
The difference is between inception. Inception can happen of a thing which needs to continue for some time, then stop and then again come into the picture if people again get sick. Diagnosis is a one time thing. Diagnose हुआ, पेमेंट हुआ, एंड. उसको हम एक इंसिडेंस कहते हैं. ये सिंपल इंग्लिश वर्ड्स हैं, लेकिन they do define the level of knowledge you have, and they do define कि आप इन प्रोडक्ट्स के प्राइमरी सिग्निफिकेंट assumption गेस कर पा रहे हो या नहीं. assumption और रिस्क का एक बहुत डीप रिलेशन है. Risk is when your assumption goes wrong because your actual is adverse than your expected, and expected is nothing the assumption you set. Yes or no?
Yes.
ये इतना फंडामेंटल है कि अगर मैं इस क्वेश्चन में आपसे ये पूछ लेती कि the companies trying to enter into the market of ACI and SCI, can you describe the key assumptions that the insurer will need to set before pricing? तो जो assumptions की होती, ये की आइडेंटिफाई करना SA2 में बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, वही उस प्रोडक्ट के की रिस्क्स भी होते. अगर assumption claim inception rate and termination rate is a key assumption in IP. तो रिस्क भी इसी से रिलेटेड की है, that this thing in reality turns out to be adverse than the expected. That becomes a risk. And again, that is also key/material for the product. Yes or no?
Yeah.
So the another topic that you've been studying over the years is कि एक जगह हम risk mitigation पढ़ते हैं, दूसरी जगह हम assumptions पढ़ते हैं, तो ये सब दूसरी जगह नहीं है. It's all connected and if you think of it in the right manner, आपको point generate करने में issue हो ही नहीं सकता. ठीक है? So ये एक holistic list है इस वजह से. Expenses है ना, volumes of new business. Why I've said it's a plus and a minus. This is to make you revise whenever you look at this revision notes कि ये risk दोनों साइड है. Higher than expected sales volume is also a risk to the company and lower than expected sales volume so a risk to the company. Do you know why or how?
In case it is lower, then the fixed expenses cannot be spread across, so वहाँ पे expense risk will become an issue.
Okay.
And higher, so it will cause a capital strain to the company higher than expected.
Right. So ये हमें पता होना चाहिए कि हम हमेशा ये नहीं कहते A is greater than E is a risk. इसको हम greater ना पढ़ के अपने माइंड में adverse पढ़ना चाहिए हमें. क्यों? क्योंकि अगर मैं कहूँ actual deaths is greater than expected, actual deaths की मैं बात कर रही हूँ, is this a risk for an annuity product?
No.
It's not, because that is not adverse in that situation for the company. But ये अगर एक term product है, तो this greater than will be an adverse. So it's not one-sided. You have to take a decision that what goes adverse becomes the risk. Sales volume के case में any direction can be considered as adverse. इसलिए प्लस एंड माइनस ये हिंट दे रही है आपको रिवीजन के स्टेज पे कि अगर आप सिर्फ ये लिखोगे तो हाफ मार्क मिलेगा, ये भी लिखोगे पेपर में तो हाफ और मार्क मिलेगा. कहने का मतलब ये है क्योंकि as Pragun rightly said that if sales volume is greater than expected तो it means आपकी इतनी पॉलिसीज बिक जाएंगी कि आपके पास इतना कैपिटल ही नहीं था to meet the new business stream. You don't need to fund that, right? और अगर कम है then obviously profit is what? Profit is profit per policy into sales. तो जब आपने प्राइसिंग की थी आपने कुछ अज्यूम किया था कि मेरे इतने सेल्स तो हो जाएंगे और इतना मेरे पे हर पॉलिसी पे मार्जिन है, तो अगर आपके सेल्स ही कम हुए हैं उतने हुए तो टोटल प्रॉफिट अपने आप फॉल करेगा. एंड अनदर पॉइंट टू डिस्क्राइब दिस बिट इज वेरी करेक्टली मेंशन कि आपके फिक्स कॉस्ट कवर भी नहीं होंगे जितना आपने सोचा था. तो दोज थिंग्स लाइक वी आर एक्सपेंडिंग बिकम द सब बुलेट्स इन दिस हेडर. So this is how you prepare. Half of the things in this, the book says you should know from SP2, you should know from SP2. I made slides, I'm discussing that, therefore, चाहे ये explicitly इस तरह से नहीं है, but answer इसी में से लिखना है और ये वो prerequisite knowledge मानते हैं आदि. ठीक है? So that is the reason. I hope that was helpful. इसी तरह हमें और भी रिस्क सोच के उनको अप्लाई करना चाहिए इस क्वेश्चन में, SCI और ACI वाले में. Should I show you the answer or we are happy to think a little bit more कि और हम क्या risks लिख सकते हैं, क्या you have to earn 21 marks because, right? क्या लिख सकते हैं इस आंसर में? अभी तो हमने 3 आइडियाज हैं, ठीक है, उसमें हम कुछ कुछ 2-3 बुलेट्स बना देते तो हमारे मान लो 3 marks, 2 to 3 marks अभी आए हर पार्ट पे. We usually say that half a mark is there for each bullet point, but then it is subject to one thing. It is subject to, wait, yeah. So it is subject to this fact that in a bullet, you're not writing multiple ideas. Examiner चाहता है easy to check, easy to read paper हो, right? So you have a explanation, तो आप उसे bullets में break down करिए. एक फैक्टर कुछ एक्सप्लेन करने का हम हाफ अ मार्क मानते हैं. अब इसमें आपने 3 चीजें लॉन्ग सेंटेंसेस में डाल दी तो वो ब्रेक करके मार्क करने की कोशिश करेगा कि हाफ इस पॉइंट की हाफ इसकी, बट इट इज यूजुअली अ लिटिल डिफिकल्ट. यू शुड ब्रेक डाउन. देयरफॉर आई सेड कि अगर हमने ऊपर अभी 3 रिस्क डिस्कस करे हैं और उसमें 3 to 4 बुलेट्स ईच डिस्कस करा है तो हमने लगभग 2 to 3 मार्क्स का आंसर हमने अभी तक per head we have gained. Is this making sense? कि हमने 9-10 नंबर का आंसर लिखा है यहाँ पर अभी 8 से 10 नंबर का. Yes or no?
Yes.
ओके वी नीड टू रीच 21. तो हमने अपने रिस्क की प्रिपरेशन दी. हमने देखा यार क्या क्या और हो सकता है. मैंने सोचा यार मार्केट रिस्क इज अनदर टाइप ऑफ रिस्क. इसमें बहुत सारे आ जाता है. एक्सपेंस रिस्क इज अ रिस्क. तो आई नीड टू डिस्कस, आई नीड टू ऑन द स्पॉट डिसाइड both materiality. Now expense risk is a valid. Similarly mix and volume of new business is valid. Market risk we usually say it is, इसके भी मार्क्स होते हैं. नॉट सो रेलिवेंट जैसे इन्वेस्टमेंट रिटर्न वगैरह, क्योंकि ये assumptions की नहीं है इस प्रोडक्ट के लिए. These are protection type products, right? Reserves and ये चीजें इतनी बड़ी नहीं होती हैं कि market risks will be significant. तो ये लिखने के भी marks होते हैं. Is this making sense to you guys?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So how they have discussed this, let's look at the answer. So they say insurance risks. So they say that both products introduce a material level of morbidity risk. Now there will be 1 mark for this because ये एक SA2 level के candidate का applied answer है. उसने इसमें कुछ decisions लिए हैं. The person is able to conclude कि yes, it will be not a risk but a material risk, and able to identify that risk and identify that it will be applicable to both ACI and SCI. Are you able to see? So then they are saying in particular the risk that the level of critical illness claims is much higher than expected or earlier than expected due to better diagnosis techniques. तो अब उसने रिस्क होता क्या है वो एक्सप्लेन किया है कि more claims than expected as a risk, and also उन्होंने कहा कि टाइमिंग भी अगर earlier है than expected तो बेसिकली आपके लिए रिस्क है, क्योंकि आपने जो एस्टिमेट की थी उस हिसाब से आपने सोचा था you will have the money to pay out the claim in that time period, but उससे जल्दी आपको ज्यादा पैसा देना पड़ रहा है पॉलिसी होल्डर को. ठीक है. देन इज सेइंग दिस रिस्क इज इंक्रीज एट द कंपनी हैज नो रेलेवेंट पास्ट क्लेम डेटा. अब ये कंपनी पहली बार लॉन्च कर रही है तो अगेन इट्स एन अप्लाइड आंसर कि डेटा का इशू यहाँ पे ज्यादा होगा. The company may not have the experience to be able to set appropriate assumptions. Is this sounding fine to you? Are you able to see कि हम ऐसा क्यों नहीं सोच पा रहे थे या अब हम सोच सकते हैं ऐसा? That what is the depth of the answer? Yes or no?
Yes. So
Yes.
Arushi, just one question. In the first bullet, we are writing that it's a material morbidity risk. And in second, like we are saying critical illness, especially that critical illness claims are much higher. So more or less it's the same thing, right? So, but still it is 2 marks.
No. I'll tell you what is happening is that here you had to describe the risks, right? Here I've
Right.
just quoted the name of the risk and said it's material. Now, what do I mean by morbidity risk is what they're explaining here. That is, the level of claims is much higher than expected. So shouldn't you get marked for that? Yes or no?
You know, why I'm asking is like, I would not have written the second point, just losing
That's what
1
you
mark.
need to learn, that you were there assuming that if you are asked to describe the risk, this is the question statement. But what you are assuming is that if you write morbidity risk, that is enough. Examiner should assume कि you are there as an ex candidate. Why? दोनों को ये पता था, दोनों ने लिख दिया marks full. But you needed to describe the risk. Somebody is there explaining what do you mean by this risk. This risk means that the claims actual are more than expected.
Right.
So there is marks for that, na?
Correct.
Now
Correct.
in the expense risk, I can't write claims are higher, right? I will have to write expenses are higher. Or I will give examples of what kind of costs can be higher, like product development costs or claim settlement costs. So if I don't explain further, then it's a list thing. You're just listing the name of the risk. You're not
Correct.
explaining it. That's what
Correct.
I'm trying to tell you.
Understood.
Okay. Huh.
Okay.
So similarly, then they're saying that because it's their first time pricing this product, so and the market as such, we said there are data issues in this type of market. Sickness data is less. So they say it may lack relevant industry data to benchmark or set the assumptions, right? The ability to review premiums, however, helps mitigate this risk, but it's not always so suitable in practice because policyholders' expectations is usually, it goes a little bit unfavorable also. You can't, it's said in practice कि आपके प्रीमियम रिव्यू कर सकते हो, but इतना इजी नहीं होता कि अब इस साल हमारा एक्सपीरियंस खराब है, चलो प्रीमियम बढ़ा दें, राइट? तो उन्होंने हर उस चीज को डिस्कस करा है. नाउ देयर इज सो मच डेप्थ. आई एम नॉट सेइंग लेट्स गेट ओवरवेल्म्ड कि हे भगवान एक हेडिंग के अंदर 6 बुलेट्स कौन लिखेगा. यू आर राइट. यू नीड टू लर्न एंड take much away as much as possible. Important point here is that their answer is very holistic. They have given a 41.5 marks answer, whereas you only needed to score 21 out of 21. तो it's not necessary model risk लिखा तो आप भी 4 bullets लिख रहे हो. Important is at the preparation stage, try to absorb the 41.5 marks answer, taking out time like this, the way I'm doing. Is this making sense?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Then they say mortality risk. So they apply कि it's a risk of higher deaths. तो bracket में लिखा but explain किया कि risk का क्या मतलब है. तो उन्होंने कहा ये it will affect both products in different ways. So this you can read. They discuss ACI पे क्या impact है. Then they discuss what's the impact on the SCI here. SCI, that the risk differs. Similarly, this point we also covered. Then they come to other types of risks like lapse risk. So how do you describe a lapse risk? Don't cheat, okay, from the answer. If you make another heading that you want to discuss lapse risk, what are you going to explain in it and apply to the question? Tell me.
If there are higher lapses in the initial period, then the initial expenses will not be recouped. And
Yes.
similarly.
Yes. So that's what they write. Okay. That if you have early on in the contract more lapses than you expect, then you have not even been able to recoup your initial expenses. Lapse is one thing that for all products and all durations in the policy, you cannot have one single answer that higher lapses than expected is a risk. Do you know that? It's not true. It's not like deaths की term है तो deaths तो कभी भी term ज़्यादा आएगी policy term में तो it's a risk. Lapse rate depends on the timing and the nature of the product. Many a times later on in the product, suppose you're left with a positive reserve, you don't have to pay as much of surrender value, suppose. So the company might profit from lapses. So it can go either ways. And this was not new knowledge. This has been there in your SP2 times also. So they discuss labs, and in labs, when you discuss, always remember to discuss two things. That there are two different ideas which will give you more marks. One is the usual lapse that we just discussed, early lapses, and the other is selective lapsing. Okay. So this is again the preparation you should have beforehand. That yes, I know कि मुझे lapse में दो चीजें discuss करने से I get a score. Selective lapsing, that is if the positive profiles in a way, good health profiles leave the product, they lapse, then the remaining pool of policyholders is a high risk or a poor health, kind of a prone health pool left behind. So they can lead to poor experience being recorded. Do you understand this word that company faces poor experience on their portfolio? Do you understand this language? It's important that by SA2 you understand it. Okay. This means that the experience in whichever type of experience you're looking at, expense experience, lapse experience, death experience. So whatever experience the company is facing means that on the product, you're recording kitna deaths hua, kitna expense hua, different types of experiences you look at. So that is not favorable for the company. उसे poor बोलते हैं क्योंकि this is in respect of point of view of insurer. That insurer के लिए poor और adverse वही है जो उसके लिए losses लेके आएगा. So they discuss all of that. Then here they say lapses could be selective. So they discuss the same point that we just did. Then they talk of higher than expected expenses. Now, is it clear to the, I don't know whom I was answering that, we can't just write expense risk. There is marks to explain that what this risk means is risk of higher than expected expenses that would reduce the profits. And then you can maybe give examples of the kind of different costs that could go higher than your expectation. Then market risk, they say it is unlikely to be material. So there is marks for identifying that. Is it fine?
Yes.
Okay. So you explain all of that. Counterparty risk, liquidity, business mix and volume. So All of this is a very big answer, worth 41.5 marks. But it is why I chose this question out of the previous years, is because it is a very good question and answer टू लर्न फ्रॉम. कई बार हम कहते हैं मैंने एक अच्छा क्वेश्चन देखा, उससे मेरी बहुत अच्छी प्रिपरेशन हो गई थी. सो इट नॉट नीड नॉट बी कि यही प्रोडक्ट और यही रिस्क आएंगे, बट इट्स अ वेरी होलिस्टिक आंसर. नॉट एवरी क्वेश्चन एंड एग्जामिनर सोल्यूशन इज दिस डिटेल्ड सो दैट यू कैन लर्न अ लॉट फ्रॉम इट, इज बेसिकली व्हाट आई वाज ट्राइंग टू टेल यू. I hope that helped. Now, in every class, I will have one is the set of notes, the slides I showed you. I use that to teach in the class also, and I'll give you it away as notes to learn and remember and study. Then there will always be this type of a document, a Word doc, where I will pull up questions from the previous years relevant to the topics we cover in the class, and we will do one or two in the class. I will give 2 or 3 for homework. I will state that. So important is that you go back and attempt that in a timely manner. Else you could be in a bit of trouble. Is that fine? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you see again the slides PowerPoint deck, or are you still on the Word doc?
The
Because
Word
I
doc.
On the Word doc.
Word doc. Okay, okay. Because I changed my screen. Let me reshare. So,
So Arushi, the question just we just saw, like when you look at the answers, right? There is a flow to it. Like it makes sense. Like once this is this, then the second point is this. It seems very logical. But in an exam condition, when you are just like going to start your answer, your mind kind of goes everywhere, right? So
yes,
the points that seemed very logical when you read it, it gets very difficult to actually implement and like get that flow in your answer. You like it's very haphazard. So is
yes,
this something?
yes. There is something you can do. So now one thing is that what kind of level of haphazardness are you facing? That because my answer will depend on the level of difficulty you're facing. Now, number one is that when you saw that it's a risk question and it wants you to describe risks relevant to the two products, right? ACI, SCI. Number one, what were you able to crack? Because if you share that with me in the class, the more I will be able to help you. So I'm glad you asked that question. Were you able to think of few names of risks which will apply to the
Yeah.
products and you are able to identify how they apply?
Yeah. So my
Okay.
mind instantly goes to like these are the risks. So we'll have the morbidity risk, we'll have the market risk, maybe not
Okay.
so material. There will be this risk, but to get actually get deeper into it, maybe one or
Okay.
two points, but the story kind of revolves around what the question is asking to get back to the question and relate that in your answer. That sort of
So,
basically, yeah.
yeah. Okay, let me go back to the solution. Wait. So one is that one most important exam tip, don't like think it's very fundamental, but it's very important, is practice. The more you practice exam questions, the more your mind gets trained. So the level of difficulty you are facing right now, to be honest, that it feels very overwhelming and too much of perfection. Honestly telling you, it becomes less so of a problem the more you practice it. Do you do 4 more questions on risks, you will definitely see a pattern and how your mind starts to think. Secondly, so practice is a very important exam tip. उससे ज़्यादा important है ही नहीं practice of exam questions. Secondly, we have time. You need to be consistent over the next few months. This seems overwhelming on day one. It might not over time. If you support me in this journey, see, at this moment, if I give you an example, okay, at this moment, we are suppose in a bus, I am on the driving seat, you are passengers. Over time, by the end, you need to be on the driving seat and I have to be the co-passenger on the conductor, to be honest. So that switch in the level of preparation and confidence comes not in a day, but over time, which is because you need to practice. Now, if you were able to think of that morbidity is a risk, from now on, how the story will flow for you is that you will have to ensure that you keep in mind you have to describe the risk. So you will get, there is my pen. So you will get a mark here, mark or a half, right? Then still your answer, you need to understand that this is still common answer, whether the product was IP or the product was say CI etc. right? आप लेवल ऑफ क्रिटिकल इलनेस क्लेम्स की जगह इसको आप क्लेम इंसेप्शन रेट्स या क्लेम्स लेवल ऑफ क्लेम्स लिखते, बट ये पॉइंट सेम रहते, यस और नो?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
तो इसके बाद इसीलिए आपके माइंड को आपको क्या ट्रेन करना था, आपको तो मुझे आइडियाज आ जाते हैं, दैट्स माय फर्स्ट इंस्टिंक्ट कि ये रिस्क मुझे पता है, रिस्क क्या है, यू नो इट, वी हैव टू ओनली कीप इन माइंड कि मुझे लिखना होता है, आपको आज ये इन्फॉर्मेशन मिल गई कि इसके मार्क्स होते हैं, देन यू नीड टू अप्लाई मोर सो टू द पर्टिकुलर प्रोडक्ट कि ये तो हेल्थ के रिस्क हैं ही, डिस्क्रिप्शन भी वही है, बट अब मेरे को आईपी नहीं पूछ के सीआई पूछा है, या मैं दोनों के रिस्पेक्ट में भी हेल्थ में और क्या नॉलेज है मेरे पास, तो थोड़ा सा आप उससे एक्सपैंड कर सकते हो। आई एम नॉट सेइंग कि आप ये 5 बुलेट लिख पाओगे, तो लिख ही नहीं सकता कोई एक इंसान, दिस इज टू मच ऑफ अ परफेक्ट आंसर एज यू से, this is very much the examiner expects, ये unachievable, I'm telling you, सो यू डोंट नीड टू वरी, बट हाँ मुझे इतना पता है कि यार मैंने एक चीज सीख ली क्लास के बाद कि यार हेल्थ में प्राइसिंग इशू, डेटा इशू, मेडिकल एडवांसमेंट्स या डायग्नोस्टिक, ये आपने आज सीखा, आप 3 बार और देखोगे अलग अलग क्वेश्चंस में, आपको ये चीज याद हो जाएगी कि हाँ ये चीजें डिस्कस करनी पड़ती हैं, जैसे आप वर्क्स के साथ आपको पता है यार टर्म प्रोडक्ट चीपर होता है, तो आपको ये रटना थोड़ी पड़ता है, दिस इज इंट्यूटिव क्योंकि आपने काम कर रखा उसके ऊपर, तो वही वाली चीज है कि यू नो द
Okay.
रिजर्व्स आर लो, सो हियर आल्सो यू विल बी वेरी कंफर्टेबल कि हाँ जब आप मार्केट में देखते हो आपको भी पता है कि यार मोर्टालिटी टेबल्स मिल जाते हैं, लेकिन सीआई टेबल्स और ये इतना इजी थोड़ी है, इतना डिफिकल्ट इनका एक्सपीरियंस एनालिसिस करके डेटा ही नहीं है, इशू आता है, या मेडिकल थर्ड पार्टी प्रोवाइडर्स, आपको आज पता चला है कि इतने इंपॉर्टेंट स्टेक होल्डर्स हैं कि एक्चुअली तो ट्रीटमेंट की कॉस्ट कवर करनी है, तो अगर वो कवर करनी है तो फिर मेडिकल एडवांसमेंट्स का डायरेक्ट इम्पैक्ट पड़ेगा। तो आई एम नॉट सेइंग कि सब कुछ आपको हर टाइम याद हो, परफेक्शन हो, बट ये चीज प्रैक्टिस से ही आ सकती है, और सिर्फ अपने उन थॉट्स को ना आपको 2 चीजें करनी है, नंबर 1 ऑर्गेनाइज, जो आपको थॉट्स आ रहे हैं बाय डिफॉल्ट, द फर्स्ट थिंकिंग दैट यू आर एबल टू पोर्ट्रे, उसको ऑर्गेनाइज करना है बाय लिंकिंग बैक टू कोर रीडिंग, कि कोर रीडिंग में वो किस स्ट्रक्चर और ऑर्गेनाइज्ड वे में मैंने पढ़ा था, लेट मी प्रेजेंट इट इन दैट मैनर, राइट? सेकेंडली आपको ये करना है, यू नीड टू एक्सपैंड एंड गिव सम एग्जांपल्स, कि यार मैं थोड़ी सी और डेप्थ डाल दूं, मैं थोड़ा सा जिस भी फैशन में कुछ सोच सकूं, शुड आई राइट दैट एंड ओवर टाइम लेट मी retain a bit of that, so that is what I'm trying to tell you, that will push you over the line, otherwise हम फिर we will fall short of, many people do, some marks, okay, so I don't want that to happen, so एंड इम्पॉर्टेंट इज कंसिस्टेंसी, इंपॉर्टेंट नहीं है कि आज मैंने आपको 2 क्वेश्चंस और जो मैं देने वाली हूँ, फर्स्ट इज you do it in the active manner like we did, but then important is also to hold your guard up, don't get disheartened अगर आप उससे दूर हो, important is examiner solution के कि आपको ये समझ आ जाए कि हाँ now after reading I'm feeling close and yes I know how to retain it now going forward, थोड़ा सा वो एक effort है जो लगेगा, no doubt वो effort लगेगा। Now in the interest of time, it is 1:27. I will share a small recording discussing the remaining 2 products, which is investment bonds and universal life. So important है कि आप वो please सुन के आना next class में. It is almost like I'm talking to you right now. I'll just share that. It's I don't know 20-minute or 30-minute max type का है 2 products. You have read it. If you have not, first read it and then listen to that, so that we know that today we covered a lot of things. In the last 1 minute or two I have, what I want to do is a recap of what we did. And you are going to tell me, आज हमने क्या क्या सीखा है? Can you please recap this with me? What all did we cover today?
So we went toward term insurance product. We looked at CI, um IP product.
What else? Everybody
We,
knows कि क्या हुआ था. This is a no-brainer. So you guys need to speak up, okay? I'm a little strict at the start. Don't get overwhelmed. So I know that about myself very well, but I know this is the push we need right now. I know why, and you will understand later that I'm very, very calm also at times. So yeah. What else did we study today?
Product design features from the point of view of an insurer.
Okay. What else?
Risk factors, risk certain how to mitigate those.
Okay. Was there anything else we did? Okay. सो ये भी एक तरह का क्वेश्चन और आंसर था. मैंने आपसे क्वेश्चन पूछा, आपने मुझे अगेन जो आंसर दिया है वो बिना स्ट्रक्चर करे दिया है. आई एम नॉट हियर टू डिमीन और एनीथिंग. आई एम ट्राइंग टू से कि एक बहुत नॉर्मल सी हैबिट है जो टाइम के साथ डेवलप होती है. यू कुड हैव आल्सो टोल्ड मी कि हमने प्रोडक्ट्स रिवाइज करे, which I had asked you to already read and come. उस products में you had examples कि we went through term में भी we highlighted the importance of different variants. Convertible term, renewable term, group term life, decreasing term assurance, right? And we did a couple of more things, see why it's cheaper and everything. We did CI, we did IP. इनमें what were the key highlights? So this is a top to bottom story. जब तक ये structure मुझे नहीं आएगा, even when you sit on the corporate head and you're able to explain the results, actually movements explain करनी है at the end, right? That they're comfortable with the set of numbers they produce. So you always go in any analysis top to bottom. You never say कि यार यहाँ पे error लग रही है. You're like, let me see total delta कितना है, उसके क्या आप break down करते हो कि investigate करते हो आप. तो वही चीज आपके आंसर्स भी मांगते हो और कुछ नहीं है इससे डिफरेंट. कि आपने प्रोडक्ट्स रिवाइज किए, ये किए आईपी में, और इनमें हमने कुछ चीजें हाईलाइट की कि इनके की मॉर्बिडिटी रिस्क होता है, उनमें अजम्पशंस में, या हम उसको क्या कहते हैं, कहते हैं क्लेम्स आर हायर देन एक्सपेक्टेड. एंड उसमें भी एक में हम क्लेम इंसिडेंस रेट बोलना चाहिए हमको, और एक में क्लेम इंसेप्शन एंड टर्मिनेशन रेट, राइट. हमने डेफर्ड पीरियड, सर्वाइवल पीरियड डिस्कस किए. इनकम प्रोटेक्शन में एक और इम्पोर्टेंट पीरियड है लिंक्ड क्लेम्स पीरियड. तो ये सारी चीजें हैं जो आपको करनी है साथ में खुद, वरना हम 10 क्लासेस में सिर्फ प्रोडक्ट्स कर रहे होंगे. दैट कैन नॉट हैपन, राइट. सो वी रिवाइज द प्रोडक्ट्स. व्हाट वी डिड वाज वी लिंक्ड दीज प्रोडक्ट्स टू द टू स्टेक होल्डर्स, पॉलिसी होल्डर एंड इंश्योरर. दोनों के रिस्पेक्ट से हमने थर्ड चीज क्या की, हमने रिस्क एंड रिस्क मिटिगेशन किए, या फिर रिस्क एंड उसके रिवॉर्ड स्लैश यूजेस. यस और नो?
Yes.
Yes. So again, this is a way to think भी कि हमने क्या किया, rather than abruptly coming of ideas कि कुछ कुछ याद आया आज हमने ये किया था. So we did in a particular order. इंश्योरर के पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से जो लिंक था, और उसमें दो चीजें थी, एक तो रिस्क एंड रिस्क मिटिगेशन, और एक उसी से कनेक्टेड प्रोडक्ट डिजाइन फैक्टर्स. So yes, you are right. We did all of that. Then we also saw in the risks this list of risks कि कैसे हमें prepare करना चाहिए. And we did a Q&A as a practice. So all of this we did. इन सब में जो बेसिक है, और होल ऑफ लाइफ एंडाउमेंट उसकी स्लाइड्स भी हैं, वो बुक से भी हैं. दे आर स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड, यू नीड टू डू इट. बट जो दो न्यू हैं वो बचे हैं, यूनिवर्सल लाइफ and investment bonds. I want you to listen to my recording to that and prepare those products. That's very, very important. In the next class, I'm going to ask you, because ये क्यों आज हमने cover ना करके, I'm giving it because we spent time on another thing which even I missed, which is exam technique, answering what are the key question words, उनमें क्या फर्क होता है, outline, etc. So we spent a lot of time there, which I feel was better used than this thing. क्योंकि ये चीज आप अगर अभी सुनोगे भी घर जाके, तो आपको मेरी explanation से समझ आ जाएगा प्रोडक्ट में क्या है. Is that fair enough? Yes or no?